And now it's time for headlines with JT and the Hootastic panel.
Hello, welcome back to Who's Views. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It is indeed us here with headlines. It's your Sunday big show. How are you? Hope you are very well. What a week it has been. Oh, yes, indeed. It's Sunday, the 10th of November, 2024, as we broadcast live. Lovely to see you all. Don't forget, you can come into our chat and you can interact with us. Yes, you can put your comments into the chat and join the show. That's what it's all about here today. And yeah. Have you heard? Well, this was the week that will go down in history, because this is the week that show business, the media, and the woke in general were handed their arses back on a plate, rejected incredibly by the democratic process of the United States of America. Could this be the beginning of the end for the woke? We'll be talking about that throughout the show. And we'll also be talking about the effect that this could have on the next series of Doctor Who for 2025, which is already looking incredibly out of date. Just my opinion. We'll see what you and all the others think about that very, very shortly. Unfortunately, the United Kingdom is still part of the this epidemic of nonsense that's carrying on. And we're going to be looking today because, indeed, have you heard, this is the week that Andoh, we were given her boots. Yes, she was given some boots. We're going to be talking about that very, very shortly. And Jamie Windust on the BBC social media. Is it suitable for children? I don't know. We'll also be going through how you can win an actual Tardis prop from the actual version of Doctor Who, whatever you want to call it. But it's good to see you all. Let's bring them on right now because, of course, I am not alone. I have Paul and I've got Third Doctor Ian. Gentlemen, what a week.
Evening. Hello. Lefty tears.
You had to get that in straight away.
Oh, yes.
Oh, you're absolutely outrageous. But that's what it's all about. I want to say a huge thank you straight away, guys, to Digby Strawbridge for his super chat right at the top of the show here. And he says, sorry, JT and the lovely panel, I will miss the live show. Well, how very dare. How very dare. But thank you very much for your super chat anyway, Digby. Keep speaking truth to nonsense, he says. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
We will do our very best, mate, and I hope you are well. And yeah, come and get us back on the playback. But thank you so much for that. We really, really, really appreciate that. And John is saying to you, Ian, Lefty Tears, love that. Where is it? There it is. There it is.
Cheers, John.
We've also got, yeah, the chat is going so quickly again already. It really, really is. So hello to everybody. And Raymond saying, great to see the American public ignore these superstars' views, stick to singing and acting, leave the politics to the politicians. I'm not even sure if they're qualified these days, mate. I have to say.
Well, that's open to question. That certainly is, yeah.
But I certainly don't think it's up to alleged personalities, celebrities, and certainly the media. So we're going to be talking more about that, aren't we, in just a few minutes. Listen, as usual, I'd like to say a huge thank you to everybody that's been getting in touch this week, either via our comments pages here, or of course via our email, which is that whosviews1@gmail.com. Yes, do send us an email, get in touch with us, tell us what you think, tell us what you suggest, tell us what you've seen, send us some pictures, whatever you want to do. whosviews1@gmail.com. Really do like to hear from you, so thank you again. And this week, thank you to Lance Uppercut 3498, to Derek Hart, to Captain 1701W. Seems familiar. To Mike Frost, to Luke Walters, to Mark Milford, to Slumdog J, to Captain Borsak, Atherstone 55, Chris Carlett 83, to M Slaw 13, I Love to Be, Bobby D 7524, Eddie Day Riley, and Stephen Lee 482, and also to Colin Smith. Thank you so much for getting in touch, and thank you for all your messages. Really appreciate it. It's lovely when we hear from people, isn't it?
It's really nice, yeah. Yeah.
It is.
It reminds me of the birthday section we had on a show up here called Glenn Michael's Cavalcade. I don't know if anyone remembered that or got to see that down south, probably not. But in Scotland, it was a cartoon kind of kids show, and they showed like cartoons, and they would tell you the viewers' birthdays. I got mine mentioned in 1976.
Yeah. Yeah, we had something similar in this region with the legend that was John Myers. And he would read these things out, and occasionally he would just put on these silly costumes and wigs and stuff like that, and have these cuddly toys. And it got too much at one point because the whole desk was full of stupid toys. You know, a bit like my room in here, actually. Kirsty's in there with us. Hello, Kirst. Nice to see you, and thank you very much. He's putting in the email there for you, everybody. And Mark Greaves. Hi, Mark. I would have paid to be in the same room as David Tennant when the results came in.
He probably imploded.
God, can you imagine everybody? You might have another nightmare here in the UK in the next 5 years as well if Kemi Badenoch gets in there. That's Prime Minister here. Goodness me, not looking good for any of them all, is it really? Adrian is with us saying, "Hey, I've been watching my season 25 Blu-ray box set. I'm on the Happiness Patrol. Well, build high for happiness." Oh, that's not right. Yeah, that was actually, yeah, I can tell you that. That is Doctor Who. Sorry, yeah, I can say that. It's just a different story. But thank you, Adrian, for that one. Listen, also thank you as well to James, the Legion of James himself, because he sent us a picture. There he is there with his baldy old man moaning mug from our Who's Views shop.
Fantastic. Man of taste.
Brilliant quality.
He's not quite baldy though, is he, Paul?
Yeah. He's got a way to go. I'm quite jealous. He's got more hair than I ever had, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, but thank you so much. What are you saying, Ian?
It may identify as bald.
You might do.
In which case, you know,
I'm a bit like Andoh. I've got visible hair. Yes.
Well, listen, we've got an awful lot of you joining us this evening. Thank you. It's great to see you. We've got a lot to get through, so we'll get into what you're saying as we get through all our subjects this evening, because we have got a lot to talk about. And we're going to start right now with, oh, goodness me, yes, the actress Adjoa Andoh, or Andoh. I'm not quite sure how to say that. I've never met her. Adjoa Andoh. Now, this might be a name that's familiar to all, because, of course, she played Martha's mother in Series 3. Do you remember?
Yeah. Can we call her Martha's mother from now on? It's much easier.
Well, this is a great, these next couple of stories are a great example of how the UK is still in the grasp of the woke and this absolute mental illness that's going on with various people now, so desperate to show their virtue signaling and to live up to all this nonsense DEI stuff, which ironically originated in America and made its way over here. No offense, but it's true. But here we go. Now this is her here, just to remind you. This is Adjoa Andoh. Now, of course, we know her for Doctor Who, but she's also she's one of the stars of that Bridgerton thing.
Yeah, she made 2 appearances in Doctor Who. Wasn't she a cat in the New Earth episode as well?
Yes, she was, in the first David Tennant. And then she came back as Martha's mother in Series 3 and a sort of cameo in Series 4, if you remember, at the end of that. Well, yes, so she's done all these other things. Now, famously, unfortunately, but famously, here in the UK, Adjoa is now known for her very untimely and very unfortunate remark on the very woke ITV station, the ITV network, at His Majesty the King's coronation. So in case you don't know about this, what happened is she was one of these commentators that were watching the coronation of His Majesty and all this sort of stuff, and, you know, doing what they always do, which is, oh, look at me. But anyway, when it came to that point where His Majesty and the royal family come out onto the balcony, take the waves, you know, all that sort of stuff. Huge applause and huge crowd reaction. Yeah, crowd goes wild. There's thousands and thousands of people, if not millions, cramming the streets of London. It cuts back to this team that she is as part of. And what does she say? Oh, yes, of course. She says, well, and I'm not saying this for verbatim now, but, you know, it was basically, it's very white up there, isn't it?
Yep.
That's what she says. So she is now known for this terrible comment, and she had a backlash on this, obviously, by saying, look, racism works both ways. Now this ties in with the story we talked about last week, guys, as well, where we had Joe Martin and that other lady who I can never remember, D something. Remember we were talking about this last week? Remember?
Mm-hmm.
But yes. I've forgotten the other actress you were mentioning. I forgot the name.
Yeah, but it ties in with this, and there seems to be this sort of trend on
Charlie D. Clark. That was it.
Thank you. That's it. But it seems to be that I've got it written down here. I don't know why I asked, but you know, it's a case of like, you know, it seems to be this trend now especially since 2020 with all that BLM insanity that was going on, that these people of color can actually now get at white people and there's no repercussions from them at all. And this is absolutely within show business because she's managed to get work from it. Now, this is actually her piece in this incredibly woke advert for Christmas for one of our established businesses here in the UK for decades. This is Boots the Chemist. Boots the Chemist, who have obviously gone to a marketing advertising agent and said, would you like to do our Christmas advert? To which they've gone, of course, oh yes, we would love to do that, Boots the Chemist. Pay us XXX amount and we'll do it. And it's obviously one of those things, with it being the media, where it's run by media types who are extreme left-wing ideologists, as we all know as Doctor Who fans. And you just know who this advert isn't for. Here's another shot from it. Look how they spell workshop.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Can you get any tips yet, everybody? Can you see it yet?
Yeah, well, they've already gone down the line of having getting rid of male Father Christmases and making it Mother Christmas and things like that. So that's already happened as well. You know.
Well, this particular one I showed you there, that shot there, if you can look, she's actually playing disdain there, or expiration, or whatever, you know, exasperation, because Father Christmas
Or constipation, perhaps.
Possibly.
Well, she's definitely full of it.
You're full of something. Yes.
Well, Father Christmas at the beginning of this advert is, of course, the traditional looking Father Christmas. He's in his big red and white suit. He's massive, right? He's big. He's big. And he's having a kip.
Isn't that the fattest, would you say?
Well, it could be, but I always equate Father Christmas as taking the odd nap anyway.
Yeah,
you know
he's old. He's about 2,000 years old, isn't he? So
exactly. Yeah. So, of course, the look she gives him is like, oh, not again. So the whole advert is about her, this character, doing what she does, you know, and basically she's working the magic, she's running the workshop, hence the that one there, the Mrs. Claus workshop, spelled W-E-R-K, which
is
of
that
course
missing a T from the start.
Oh, it's
yeah, twerkshop. No, shooting would be there, wouldn't he? Let's be honest.
Would be, wouldn't he?
Well,
in a
banging pants. Yeah.
This advert, if you haven't seen it yet, but this advert, when I saw this in disgust, basically it really annoyed me because I thought, what has this got to do with Christmas? Oh, that's right, nothing, because we're not supposed to celebrate Christmas anymore, are we, in the United Kingdom? Because it might offend.
not until December 1st at least. It's only November, for God's sake.
But in the shops, of course, it's not. You've got to get it in now, haven't you? You've got to get all your Christmas product in at least by the end of August into September and start building it up and then get it out. So the marketing campaigns have to start around about now.
It's almost like people forgot when Christmas actually is, though. We haven't forgotten.
Yeah. Well, fellas tend to. Let's be honest. Fellas tend to, because they're always out on Christmas Eve, running around shops. Buying,
that's fair. That's fair.
They're always buying
things at the last minute. Yeah.
Yeah, they're always buying awful perfume and then wandering into lingerie departments and pointing at things and trying not to say. So be very bewildered.
Like going to a chemist for a pack of condoms and coming in with a toothbrush.
But anyway, back to the advert. We've got all this going on, and you just know who this advert is for. Shruti Gatwa, you mentioned that, would love this particular advert. So yes, here we have all the elements of the LGBTQI cult. It's all in there, including a scene, which is just after this particular one, where personal pronouns are used in an advert. In an advert. She seems to be relishing all this as well, by the way. And I'm wondering now if she was actually hired because of those comments that she made at His Majesty's coronation. But for me, I just thought, this is it. This is the pinnacle. And just to show as well how ridiculously out of touch these marketing campaigns, media in general, show business, entertainment, whatever you want to call it all in general, is out of touch with not just the UK public now, but the public as a whole. As America has just finally demonstrated, with 75% of its entire population rejecting woke big time. What bad timing. Really, this is absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? It also has an effect because she is now going to be remembered for two things. She's going to be remembered for the ridiculous things she said at the coronation of His Majesty, which we should never, ever, ever forget. But also now, this week, the hashtag boycott Boots has gone everywhere now. Boots, what are you doing? Withdraw the advert. and apologize, because you might not be around this time next year the way you carrying on. It's not just Boots, by the way. One of our other retail, if you're outside the UK, you won't realize we don't have many retail establishments left. They've all gone the way.
They've all gone bust. Yeah.
They've all disappeared. This DEI is not helping them, because there is now a massive boycott going on towards John Lewis. Now, not only has John Lewis been criticised over the last 2 years for its DEI policies that have been enforced on all its staff, from pronoun badges to allowing men into women's spaces, i.e. the toilets, but they've actually just launched their Christmas advert, where in this rather glitzy advert to women, they're actually selling women's outfits, dresses, skirts, trouser suits, all the usual sort of stuff, and men are wearing them. Is it just me? I mean, this is just ridiculous, isn't it?
Do you remember? Do you remember the BBC comedy 2012 and
yes,
the PR marketing company Perfect Curve that were absolutely off their rocker, coming out with absolute whack job ideas that were complete failures. I think they're actually a real company, and these chains are using them. They have to be.
Yeah.
They have to be. Nobody with any kind of common sense would advise or do what they've advised and done. It just makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't take their advice, surely, if it had any sense.
Well, no. You know, this could be Boots' Ratner moment, and I hope so, to be quite honest. I think they deserve to crash and burn. If this is what they want, and this is what they believe the majority of this country wants, then one, they're completely wrong. Two, if they want to pander to 1/3 of 1% of the population of this country, then let's just see 1/3 of 1% of the population of this country shop in their stores. They'll be out of business by
Christmas.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, ironically, yeah. The only reason I mention this, of course, basically, is because it's her that's in it. She does have a Doctor Who connection, although I think the majority of us would just like to pass that away now and just not remember it. Julianne is saying to us, guys, Boots think they will pick up 5 customers for every one they lose. Very clever, Julianne. Very, very clever. Atherstone55 is with us. I would say I wouldn't shop in Boots. The problem is I don't anyway without the advert. Yeah, I mean, how many people these days do shop in Boots? You know, I had to go in today simply to pick up a prescription for my mother, and I was looking at it all in disdain. Do you know what I mean? Making very clear.
Other chemists are available. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, everybody in the Britain shop at Superdrug until they decide to go down this route. That's the thing. Go down to Superdrug. It's cheaper as well. Paul Roughton is saying to us, trying to jump on the bandwagon. That'll be the final nail for already firing Boots. Good riddance. Yeah, I mean, this is the problem, isn't it? It really is the problem. Boots is always getting slagged off on my local Facebook group, says Garbage. Nice to see you, Garbage. Thanks for joining us. And Nibbles is here saying, UK feels so woke these days. It's sickening. Apparently, a bunch of US celebrities will be moving here after the election results. Yeah, Nibbles, I actually saw that. And can I just say to all those American celebrities that are saying they're going to come over here, please don't bother. We've got enough problems of our own with your sort. We don't need any more. So Barbara, Madonna, everyone else, no, we don't want you. Stay there, deal with your own stuff, you know, and get over the democratic decision. Get on with it. We don't want you. Stay where you are. Thank you. I see them all saying they're not going to play in any red states. 75% of the country, you idiots. Get on with this. Now you're talking yourselves out of money there. Yeah. Goodness me. Graham, hello, Graham. Not seen the advert and hardly watch any modern telly aside from footy. So with a bit of luck, I'll avoid this. Hugely offensive and irrelevant. I only saw it because it was shared by a friend of mine on the old X platform who said, oh my God, look at this nonsense. And it's again, it's like Doctor Who in a sense. It's tailored to what the media think the public is now, which is the TQI cult. It's tailored to them. Work, spelled W-E-R-K, like that old Crone's drag show. You know, the character played by Andoh is the one that's all in control. There are trans characters in it. There's gay characters in it. You know,
mockery of a white male.
Yes, all the normal nonsense. Boots, please get rid of the advert, pull it. and sack that agency, get some money back. As Mark is saying to us here, Mark Milford, can anybody say Bud Light? You'd think by now after Gillette and the Bud Light, they'd be watching this, but no, they have to keep going. They're not learning. They're not learning. And I'm wondering if this week is going to make them either triple down or learn and say, oh, actually, we've got to listen. We've got to listen now to the general public. I don't know. It's very hard to say, isn't it?
It is really.
It is, yeah.
John is saying to us, I think the shit is on its way out now. Now Trump, next Farage, they won't stand for it. I hope it is all on the way out because it's ridiculous. And I'm hoping people are starting to see through it. And you know, it's like Ian was saying before we came on air, a massive silent majority there, which was not expected for them this week. And show business and entertainment themselves, not one of these so-called endorsements was followed through. Really, they didn't care. We don't care. We don't care about them. You know, they should shut up, go to work, entertain, go home. Yeah, like they used to do, because we don't care.
I mean, just because they turn up and remember lines that other people have written and manage to speak them in the order that they were written after God knows how many takes doesn't make them a serious political force or an intellectual giant or anything else. Most of them are thick as pig swill.
Oh, yeah. I think the key phrase is don't go off script. I think that's the big thing.
Did you see one of them, though, on some vacuous bint who was on the stage and the teleprompter wasn't working. So she just stood there for about a minute and a half until somebody brought her a mobile phone. If you think this woman is fantastic, say so. Just say so. But she obviously didn't. So it was insincere crap anyway.
And allegedly they all got paid as well.
Yeah.
Which is what they've done it for. They are alleged actors and entertainers. They'll do anything for money. Won't they? They'll take away
anything for a shilling, definitely. Yeah.
Exactly. Raymond is saying to us, it got her noticed more than anything she's acted in about Ms. Andoh here. Yeah, very possible. And Dalek Eye, those boots are made for walking off into the sunset. That's the trouble now, isn't it? Do you remember the old adverts for at Christmas time? They were full of joy and tinsel and music and carol singers and proper British Christmases. Now we have to go down this ever increasing nonsensical, fictionalized, ideological side of it because they think we're all left wing. Miss
Andoh won't be on the New Year's honours list. Put it that way. So
I just miss. Do you remember those of you in the chat the old big Woolworths things where the celebrities were in it, but they didn't say anything. They just turned up with some sort of device and went, huge amounts of money, and off they go. You know, that's how you should do it now. But now they've gone into all this blooming nonsense. Hugh Janus, nice to see you, mate. John Lewis are going downhill fast. Sadly, they are. It used to be one of my favourite shops, and I hardly ever go in it now because I just think, what is going on? What is going on? And because I know about their DEI nonsense, which is being enforced on staff, I don't agree with that at all. I really, really don't. Yeah. Michael's saying to us here, I beg your pardon, JT, men in women's clothes. Yes, John Lewis are advertising women's clothes being worn by men as part of their ongoing commitment, for you want of a better word, or ongoing obsession with trying to be diverse and inclusive. It's absolutely, how are you supposed to sell clothing to women if a bloke's wearing it, for crying out loud? You can't, can you?
They'll all be out of shape, surely, I would have thought. But...
Well, yeah, I mean, women cannot see themselves in if a bloke's wearing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely ridiculous. Crimpling to Balloon, nice to see you. Boots ought to claim that their Christmas advert is a spoof of woke advertising. It's not, though. When you see it, CD, nice to see you, by the way, but when you see it, oh my goodness, it's painful. And I got quite wound up about it. And I thought, well, this is something that Shooty and RTD and all the cult of Doctor Who would be loving. They'd love all this. Oh. But they have to now understand you are in a minority.
Yeah.
You really are. I want to say hello and welcome to Who's Views to Kess the Drone, who I've not seen on the show before. So nice to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Donald Trump has told officials, doctors, teachers, etc., that if any of them promote multi-gender, trans ideology, LGBTQ+, they will have their licenses removed. Well, as a gay man, I can say good.
Good.
Yeah. Good. Yes, we have to have certain things in there at school, which is actually what I would call common sense, to be able to say that bullying has to end, bullying mustn't be a case, but that's down to the educators to do. And a lot of educators today, all around the world, from what I can see at least in the West, are now activists in hiding, and not even in hiding anymore. They've really come out for it, haven't they? And gone through the old ideological stuff. But I think that's just basic common sense. Don't be trying to push adult agendas onto young people. Let them be young and let them have a life and let them find their own way, as we all did in time. Don't be enforcing them. I saw something today that in the United Kingdom, youngsters from the age of 4 in a certain school are being told by teachers to use their pronouns. Utter nonsense, Kester Drone, as far as I'm concerned. Really, really is. I can't stand that. Really annoys me. But here we go. Kev, hello Kev, good to see you as well. LGB was never decisive, TQ and the rest of the pronouns are. Listen, people of sense, as a middle-aged man, I don't need to be told what I think is right or wrong. I know, it's common sense.
Exactly, yeah.
Well done, Kev. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It really, really is. And it's ironic, really, where they're all going in the left, isn't it? You know, especially this week, they've all... What a week it was. It was very interesting, but they all showed their true colours, didn't they? I thought this week, oh my God. No wonder many of us have now gone centre right or conservative with a small c.
Yeah.
Some of these idiots. I always thought...
Or far right, depending on your point of view.
Well, it is to them, isn't it? It is to them, but it's not. I always thought her character's horrible, and it seems that follows in reality too, says poor Rowan. I will never forgive her what she said at His Majesty's coronation. I will never. I sat there, and my jaw went, and I thought I'd pull her off that show immediately because that was blatant racism. Oh, it's very white up on that balcony, isn't it? How dare she? Who the hell? And she's British, by the way. But she's British. She's as common as muck. How dare she? Yeah. Oh goodness me! I was really annoyed.
I would argue that 100% of all the ruling families in Africa are 100% black, but you'd never get away with saying that. You would be cancelled immediately.
They would try, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I feel she is just a nasty race baiting, anti-white racist. That is my view of her. I think she really is.
Yeah. But that's what comes to, and it ties in with what we were talking about last week with Sharon D. Clark and Joe Martin.
Joe Martin, yeah.
There seems to be this empowerment now going on since 2020, and again, it's the entertainment industry and it's show business, especially as we've discussed before on Headlines. They're the ones playing with the labels. They're the ones that are putting people into groups. They're the ones that are promoting segregation.
Yeah,
that is exactly the opposite of what they allege to stand for.
Yep.
Shocking. She's no Maggie Smith, says Kester Drone.
Nobody is.
No.
Never going to get her like again, are we, guys? Never going to this. Oh, Graham. Hello, Graham. Nice to see you, Graham Dawson. I got in touch with Bog Fanish about using this racist woman. They did not get back to me. Oh, really? That's interesting, considering that when people complained about a certain Mr. Fabulous James Wonderful Dreyfus, they axed him. Oh, dear. Hey, Graham.
Double standards there, I would say.
Who do they think they are? Keir Starmer? Heaven's sake. There we go. Yeah, you're right. It's the double standard. So we can't be seen to be doing this, but we can do that. What is going on, guys, with absolutely everything, really? And that company there, goodness me, they are guilty of it left, right, and centre.
Absolute joke.
And if you like them, good for you, fantastic. But I'm seeing through everything with this, and I think everybody else should. They are hypocrites, just like their paymasters at BBC Wales and BBC Studios and Disney and Bad Wolf and God knows who else. Really, you don't want the celebs, but you can have them. Sorry, guys, says Terrified Monk. No! There's been a lot of that this week.
We have enough of our own to worry about, like you said.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. We really do.
What a week that was, for all those woke meltdowns. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I thought, this is what we've been saying for a year now on this show. This is a mental epidemic, a mental well-being epidemic. And there they all go, proving our point. And what were you saying? What were you saying before we came on air, Ian, about them doing exactly what they've been telling the rest of the world.
They'd been saying. I'd seen one American thing on post the American election, first day that Trump was president-elect. So they'd announced it, and I mean, you've had the idiots like Whoopi Goldberg saying he's going to split up mixed race marriages and put the white women with white men.
Nonsense.
I mean, it's insanity off the scale.
Yeah.
But I mean, she needs committing for that because she's clearly lost it. But some of them were saying he's going to now exact his revenge and he's going to come and try and arrest us all and put us all in prison. And I just thought, that is what you've spent the last 4 years trying to do to him. And this is the typical display and behavior of the left. They preach something, they want to do something, but they never want it done to them, and they are outraged if you treat them in the way that they treat others. They're the ones that always preach be kind whilst being nasty as hell and preaching violence and hate on the streets. You see those videos of somebody going around in a MAGA hat, and they're chased, they're attacked, they're insulted, they're abused, and this is the people that are saying be kind to us, and it's just absolute total hypocrisy. You see it over there, you see it over here, and you see it everywhere, and you saw it, just like we've mentioned, in Big Finish.
It's everywhere. I mean, they're all trying to. I mean, I don't know what it is, but they're all trying to keep up with this. It's what jumping on the bandwagon, isn't it? It's all jumping on the bandwagon, and people being advised incorrectly, not being informed correctly. And this whole thing, they don't realize, or if they do, they're ignoring the fact that it's misogynistic and homophobic, a lot of stuff that the TQ cult is preaching out here. And this fascination with bloody drag queens. What is going on? Give it a rest, will you? I just don't understand it. And I speak as someone that, worked for years alongside drag queens, in various forms. I just think, oh my God, you are insane.
I can't believe now that it's still, they're considering it to be a gender now, which is really crazy. It's really
I know, isn't that just stupid?
Mad.
It's absolutely stupid. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us and listening to our nonsense. So I hope you are enjoying the show so far. We've got a lot more coming for you. It's great to see you all in the chat. Graham is asking us, on an optimistic note, do we think all this has gone as insane as it can get? Most people reject all this rubbish and just want fairness and decency to all. Well, let's talk about that in 5 years' time, shall we, Graham? Let's see what happens, because not only will Trump be coming to the end of his 8 years, because this is the last time he can go, I believe. And I'm not up on the American system, but I've been advised he can't go again, as I thought he can, because it's considered.
Although he's going to change the goalposts, isn't he? I think he's going to try and do that.
Anyway, so, I don't even think he'll be allowed to do that, to be quite honest.
Well, he might get back in again. That's a surprise in itself. In terms of, being able to do that.
He could turn up and go, surprise. I mean, but let's see where it goes on that one. But it also ties in with our next general election here as well. So 4 years is a fairly brief time, let's face it, when it comes to all this. But let's see what's going to happen, Graham. So I don't know. Lots of you in the chat with this. You're all enjoying this particular subject. Nibbles is saying, after the election results, I fear for our favorite franchise even more, because they will triple down. Now, that's great, Nibbles. Thank you so much, because you brought me on item 2 now of our show, because I want to ask everybody out there, and of course I want to ask Paul and Third Doctor Ian here, what effect is this going to have on Doctor Who now? Because season 2 is in the can. We've been saying already for quite some time now, because it was filmed exactly back to back, more or less, with season 1, with the same units, the same mental approach from RTD, the same chip on the shoulder that we've seen here, that same thing. As I said at the top of the show in my monologue, it's out of date already. But how is Doctor Who now going to fare in Trump 2.0?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Well, like you said, they can't, unless they're going to re-edit it and refilm masses of it, which they can't afford to do, by all accounts. There's no way around it. It's, like you say, it'll be a repeat of what we already had last season. Probably more of it,
I think it's going to be interesting across the board, really, because it was not well received with Series 1. It's going to be less well received with Series 2. Shooty is not popular. Russell T Davies has lost it completely. But I think going wider than that it's going to be very interesting, because I think just about every member of Keir Starmer's government, including Keir Starmer himself, has said some pretty inflammatory things about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very, very difficult now. I mean, I don't see how people like Lammy, for example, can keep his role as foreign secretary. I mean, the guy's a buffoon anyway. He got very uppity once when he realized that to signify a new pope, it was white smoke as opposed to black smoke, which signified something else. And he thought that was I believe, allegedly, he thought that was depicting the skin color of the person selected, as opposed to a hundreds-year-old tradition. And it made himself look an absolute idiot, which was no surprise to anybody. But I think it's going to be really, really interesting, especially the first 2 years, because Trump has, in his first term, he tried to do lots of things, but it was a bit like Brexit. We voted for Brexit, but then it was very, very difficult to enact it, because all those people that didn't want it blocked it.
Yeah.
Worked against it. Yeah.
And
that's
then
what
said,
I think.
look,
Yeah.
Brexit's failed. You haven't done any of it. Well, that's because you've been blocking it.
I
And
agree.
if you haven't,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
And they were doing that with Trump a lot. They were objecting. Now he's got all the different houses, hasn't he? He's got the whatever
He's got
they call
all
them,
7
Senate.
swing states.
But
According
he's
to
got
this,
the Senate and the House of
75%.
Representatives as well. He's got all 3 chambers, if you like.
And that's democracy, Ian. It's what the American people wanted. You have to get on with it, because that's what democracy is all about. Whether you want it or not, whether you like him or not, that's how the American people voted.
Yeah.
You get on with it. I didn't want a Labour government, but I have to get on with it. And they're there, and I just get on with the day, because that's the majority rules.
This is where they don't practice what they preach. The Brexit referendum had a bigger vote than the Labour government did in this general election. But for the Brexit one, people like Starmer and all the left were saying the Brexit vote was too close, it should have been rerun. Well, it wasn't as close as I know they have a lot of seats, but they're all wafer thin. And their actual number of votes difference wasn't that great. But they don't want to rerun the general election. Rerun it when it suits them. Don't rerun it when it doesn't. Well, you either do or you don't. And it's absolute back to hypocrisy
it's
again.
like show business, isn't it? It's all hypocritical, because it didn't go. When it doesn't go your way, the majority rules, you go with it. You have to. That's democracy. That's how we were brought up. Apparently not anymore. And it's the same now all the time. It's been the same for the Scottish independence vote. It's been the same for Brexit. As I said, I didn't want a Labour government, but do you see me going on and on about, can we have that again? Because it didn't go my way. No, you get on with it. And I was brought up properly, as we all were. Here, all of us, we were all brought up properly, weren't we, Who Viewers, to say, right,
having a tantrum is the new norm, isn't it? That's the thing.
That's why I'm saying it's a mental illness, and unfortunately, that's in the Doctor Who fandoms as well. Hugh Janus, thank you so much for your super chat. Next time, roles in blackface, probably get cancelled now, but thank you so much for that, Hugh.
Isn't there going to be a drama where Ncuti Gatwa is going to play the king, our current king, like an alternate universe king or something? And he'll be obviously, he'll be.
We've had
that version of
like Anne
King
Boleyn.
Charles.
We've had Anne Boleyn, though, haven't we? Played by a black actress and things like that.
Over the last few days, I have heard, and I cannot confirm it, but I have heard that they have cast a black actress as Jane Seymour, or Jane Seymour's mother, or something like that in history. And of course, it was a white woman. I can't remember the actual story of it, because I didn't pay much attention, because I'm now so used to it. But I tell you something, they wouldn't. I mean, they've done it in Doctor Who. Let's face it, they've done it in Doctor Who. They did it with Sir Isaac Newton. And to them, it doesn't matter until somebody like me says, right, now go and recast Nelson Mandela or Malcolm X or Steve Biko or any of these, or Martin Luther King, any of these giant heroes of ours, and cast them as a white man. They wouldn't dream of it. They wouldn't dare, because the hypocrisy is insane. It's great to see you all in the chat. Thank you so much. Marine Boy 1966, the Boots Christmas ad with Mrs. Claus is just so bloody annoying. I agree. And Mark Greaves is saying to us, she's like Gatwa, can't act, plays herself, every character, spiteful and condescending. That's what I mean. There's an awful lot of that coming through from these people for some reason. And they are absolutely 100% getting at all of us. They're getting at fandom. They're getting at society in general. You know, I just don't understand it. But I don't know. Let's see what you guys think about this. I don't think now Doctor Who is going to look correct with this current production team at all. It hasn't done anyway, but it's so out of tune. And if Disney, and bearing in mind that we are trying on this show as well to look at the money situation, which has been suggested by you guys, the viewers. Thank you so much. A lot of you got in touch with me saying, JT, you're saying that Bad Wolf and BBC Studios could produce Doctor Who without Disney involvement. Really? And then started to look into it, and I thought, well, actually, maybe they can't. So that we started looking at that. Next week, we're going to continue looking at those sort of things. But the whole thing about that is a case of they are so desperate, BBC Studios, Disney, Bad Wolf. They are so desperate for it to work in America. It didn't this year, and it's not going to next year. And with Disney sort of rumored, Paul, to be realigning and getting the House of Mouse in order.
Yeah.
Is there a place, do you think, for Doctor Who?
Not in its present condition. It's funny you should say about, that there won't be any changes, because Russell likes to have things up to date. He likes to do modernisms in Doctor Who.
Sadly.
And they've been talking about making this delayed season 2, haven't they? It might not be next year after all, mightn't it? It might be later on down the line. So if that's the case, it'll be hugely out of date, won't it?
Yes.
I think it's interesting with Davis, because he always made a thing, didn't he, about only gay actors playing gay roles and
God, that nonsense.
Only trans playing trans and things like this. But when it comes to a white character, I'll stick a black person in. You know, again, it's just the hypocrisy, isn't it?
Well, I've been watching the season 25 box set, and the Dursley documentary on it is really moving, really good. He's on it. And he was friends with Dursley, who played Mike in Remembrance, but he's a gay actor. He wasn't out at that point in the 80s when he did Doctor Who, but he was a gay actor. So he's a gay actor playing a straight role, but Russell said nothing about that. So,
funny that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's again, I mean,
not that it matters either way, as far as I'm concerned. It shouldn't matter at all, but
it shouldn't matter at all. No, I mean, an actor is an actor, as a lot of actors have sort of started saying, Paul, as you'll know. You know, they've started saying things like, actually, I'm an actor and I want to stretch myself. And
let actors act. That's the point.
Yes, let them play roles that aren't them. That's why they've gone into acting. And I'm hoping that some of these, followers in entertainment will start to be stronger now to say, actually, this is nonsense. Listen to your public and do not slag off any fan base of anything like you have been doing over the last few years, because we stop supporting you and then you have no career and no pension. Let me just point that out to you bloody idiots. Thank you for all your comments. Graham Dawson also saying to us here, Khan said he would leave our country if Trump won. Another lie. Oh God, I wish.
We'd never be that lucky, would we? We'd never.
Where's it going to go? That's the thing.
I can't stand him at all. So Deco24, nice to see you. Hope you are well. It's strange. When I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, the left were meant to be the heroes. Absolutely. Rallying against the Tory establishment. But now they are the establishment. Yeah, it's gone completely the other way, which is why a lot of us who were centre-left or even left and haven't been infected by this madness, like all of us on the show, find ourselves now not with the left anymore. And for a little while there, I was politically homeless because I thought, well, I can't support them and I'm not going to support them. And then I had a word with myself to say, look at the policies. Yeah. And it was the centre-right policies that got me more, because they were more in tune with where I've always been. And I certainly wasn't going to live a fiction. And I certainly wasn't going to support something that is homophobic. That was never going to happen.
I think the left used to be the representatives of the working class, and they left. The working class didn't leave them. It's been said many times, and I agree that the working class didn't leave Labour. Labour left the working class.
They're not working class anymore.
It started with Tony Blair anyway. That's how they're showing.
Yeah, I mean, look at Tony Blair.
I voted for that man. I voted for him. And then you know what happened with him. And I was on those marches against him. I couldn't believe that I was there on those Saturdays in London on that huge, big, infamous march against that, that event. And down to him. What a letdown he was.
But he came in on such a massive majority and could have done so much good.
1997,
did nothing, and he left power a millionaire and is now a multimillionaire. That's not representing the working class. That's feathering your own nest. Starmer is a very rich man who's getting a lot of freebies, but he spent the best part of a year in opposition trying to get to the bottom of a slice of cake. But all the time he was taking freebies from this strange gay Muslim bloke that seems to pull his strings.
Absolutely.
And it's just very, very, very bizarre.
Oh,
it's very bizarre.
is.
But I'd be amazed if this government saw out 5 years. I can see something happening.
Well, they have to. They have to follow. They have to follow the democratic process. Labour will be there for 5 years, whether or not it's the same leader. As we know, it doesn't have to be, because you can change leaders just as often as you change your underwear.
Well, they do, don't they? But the thing is, I think when they have more by-elections and stuff coming up the next year, whatever, that'll make a huge difference.
Oh,
There's
totally.
really a swing of dissatisfied Labour voters, isn't there? Again.
Yeah.
So I mean, our fear as Doctor Who fans, and thank you, Richard, for saying here, Richard Brooks, if I were a creative, I would be waiting out the woke. 0 is a special number. All it takes is one producer to want a well-written script to produce to start the return of a metrocracy. Possibly, but these good scripts can't get in front of the production companies, because the production companies give them this list saying, and I know this for a fact, you have to have this, you have to have that, and it's a list of tick boxes. And if you dare to say to them, well, we can't do that because that's not what the element of the story's about, it ruins the flow of the story, you don't get the money, you don't get seen, and you can in turn get blacklisted. It's totally bizarre, Richard.
Which is criminal. It really is.
I know what you mean. We've got all that. Let's just point out this from Matt, the Silent Wee Music King. The one reason I don't like Trump is how he married someone 25 years younger than him. It's so old-fashioned. It happened in my family tree once, but the man who did it was in his 70s and was born in 1820. Listen, age is age. Do you know what I mean?
But can I say to Melania is
look to share, Matt.
What attracted you to millionaire Donald Trump? That's the question.
Yes. It's an ongoing gag. I mean, as I say, talk to Cher. Cher's current boyfriend is what, 22? Something like that.
Yeah.
He's an embryo, isn't he? I thought. Yeah.
Madonna.
And it's all right if a woman does it. You know, these days. In my day, if a man did it, it was okay. You know, it was all right, and he would look after the young lady. Yeah, I know what you mean, though. But that's your personal understanding of it. I've dated younger guys than myself. I wouldn't today because they're all woke as hell, but I have done in the past. I've never seen age, I've never seen colour, I've never seen religion, I've never seen anything really, but I do today. But yeah, this is the point, isn't it? I generally think that this is going to help, you know, ensure Doctor Who doesn't have a future.
Yeah.
I think it's done. I mean, I've been saying for
if
weeks.
It wasn't June before this happened, it is now. Yeah.
Hello to everybody that's joining us. Frank Spencer has joined us as well. Legion of James is with us as well. And Sean Oliver, it's nice to see you too. Great chat coming. Keep it all coming, everybody. Hope you're enjoying all this straight away. It's great to see you. But yeah, there we go. This has had a huge effect. And, you know, I hope Carol Vorderman isn't watching us. And but there you go. So the Boots, the chemist, you can't even watch an advert anymore now. And it had to be somebody who's associated with Doctor Who in there as well, didn't it? I mean, goodness me. I mean, I was so shocked by this. And I thought, here we go again with this nonsense. I'm
surprised David Tennant's not in it. That does surprise me.
Yeah. I'd like to see a like docudrama about the origins of Hancock's Half Hour and recast his agent as a black woman. Because his agent, of course, was it Beryl Virtue?
Yeah, Stephen Moffat's mother-in-law. Yeah.
Moffat's mother-in-law. So if they recast that role as black, it'd just crack me up because he'd be outraged, I would have thought. Just purely for badness.
Well, this is the problem. We've said it often enough. Domgo is saying to us, shock horror, it will have zero impact on Doctor Who, but it's already canned. Yeah, that's what we mean. It's so out of date already, isn't it, Domgo? It's going to be screened next year. It's going to be out of date. And it's certainly not going to have an impact now on the American market, because they didn't realize that 75%, if not more at this point, of the American public are going to turn around and vote down woke, which is exactly what they've done. They've said, no, we don't want this. And they've turned to the only other option they've had to try and sort it out. Let's face it, show business must be up in arms at the moment. If I was show business, I'd be a bit worried because the public is speaking to you. You have to listen. And that's the same here in the UK. We don't want this crap. Entertain us.
The
Don't
overnights for the Christmas special will be very interesting to read. Yeah.
Can't wait for all that. Can't wait for that show. Hiya, Rob. Rob Alexander saying the dangers of filming too far ahead. Now, didn't I say this, guys?
Yeah,
didn't I say they should not do this? They should wait until the results of the 2024 series and then film after it. Now, for some reason or other, they couldn't do that, but they should have done. I can't wait for series 2. You never thought you'd hear me say that, Who viewers? But the reason I can't wait for it is to see how in touch it is with 2024 and the British, American, and everywhere else. The public as well as the fans. Let's be having those debates.
I do think there was a little bit of change in the last part of season 1, and I could be wrong in this, but I think Yasmin Finney, his role was different from what was going to be in the original version. I think because that character was in it less. I think they put Bonnie in instead, or and made more of her, and that's what happened. I think allegedly, but who knows? Yeah.
It's alleged. It's a theory I have as well, Paul. The fact there were reshoots, and we saw the pictures, didn't we, of Bonnie on set with Millie,
which is interesting. I don't know if you've seen this advertised on Doctor Who Day. Allegedly, there's going to be some extra footage from season 1.
I've got that down. We'll talk about that now because if you haven't heard, Richard, it's stale and will not fit the new situation. Well, Rick Storm is speaking for all of us when he says we wish it was canned.
Yeah.
We do. Who'd have thought it would come today when the majority of Doctor Who fans are saying, please just take this off the air. It's embarrassing. It's not Doctor Who. And oh my God, it's such a sad state of affairs. We are the new Michael Grade. I know where he came from now. Daniel Raven, lovely to see you. Bog Fanish, so keen on diversity, but they will never ever employ an actress who doesn't sound like she came down the Oxbridge pipe. Oh, really?
That's a very good point. Yes.
Is it a really good point?
Yeah, a lot of Oxford people in Big Finish. Yes, actors of that ilk. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, well, again, it's members of the cult, isn't it? And people that will appear to be members of the cult to get a foot in the door, or to get recognised, or even just to get a good old wage. It'll age like fine milk, says Talons of Wayne Chiang. It will, won't it?
Curdling as it goes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Shempmeister is with us. If the series does continue during the next Trump administration, RTD will absolutely triple down if he's allowed to do so. There's now American money in this.
Yeah.
And this is a great point from Shempmeister. There's now American money involved in Doctor Who. A lot of dollars, a lot of wonga from the States. Would they be allowed to do it, especially with the stuff from Disney? Because they have to have, the way it is now, the show popular in America, and it's not going to be, is it, if it's going on about this? In fact, even a 2 or 3 year break is not going to work as much, is it, to make it popular in America again? Thank you.
Have they not spent all their money already, though? Isn't that the problem?
That's the problem, isn't it? That's absolutely the problem.
It's too late.
Imagine if Disney came back and said, right, okay, we will invest for another 2 series at least, another 2 series and another spin-off maybe. And he's got his head on, the alleged showrunner, he's got that same head on, and he's bitter and he's angry and he's writing, blah, 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 like he does. Blah, 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 fabulous, marvelous. This and this and this and this, activism, blah, 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 because that's Doctor Who now, I say.
I just hope Disney keep the receipts and they get their money back, take it back, and they get. I don't like this. It's broken. Could have something else. Yeah.
I mean, there's signs, isn't there, that Disney is gravitating away from woke now. Which is no bad thing. And if it is possible that they could come back and say, all right, yes, we will finance 2 more series, but we want a new creative team and a new direction.
They could do.
The BBC would have to do it.
The BBC would have a fit. The BBC Studios would have a fit. And because they're so desperately in tune with wanting to stay with Disney and have that link and try to make Doctor Who a huge money earner, which it isn't at the moment, you're right, they would. So would they effectively terminate any agreements with any independent production companies and go for new ones?
That would be worth seeing.
They would go under,
to get rid of them and do a new crew. That'd be really interesting if they did do that. It really would.
Absolutely. Woodhouse 122 is saying to us, this is the nail in the coffin lid for Disney Who. And Marjorie, hello Marjorie, I believe that Doctor Who will not get a series 3. Everything's changing. This is the world we're in today, isn't it? Everything's changing day by day by day by day. And again, this result from the United States of America, these people didn't see it coming. I was saying 3 years ago, he's going to get back in because they were turning him into a bloody martyr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised people are surprised this has happened. I really am.
I know. It was pretty obvious. I didn't expect him to have one of the most significant landslides in American history. I wasn't expecting that, but I was expecting them to get back in. I wasn't expecting the American people to sort of unite and turn around and say, we're going for him, we're sending you a very clear message. I mean, that was incredible.
It just shows
it's only a
you
matter of time before Boris comes back, and I'm not talking about the spider from Planet Spiders, you know. But,
it does show you, though, that the sheer scale of the amount of people that are not on board with the woke bollocks and are just keeping quiet because it isn't worth getting the earache and the hate from the be kind lot. They just sit there, they're quiet, they wait for their time, and then they move, which is why you've seen 75+% of the entire electorate in America, blacks, Hispanics, all the rest,
gays,
all going that way. Because let's face it, the Democrats didn't really court the gays, did they? They caught the TQIs.
Yeah. Well, this is where I'm
like the gays.
I've been so impressed over the last few weeks, especially with, my community in America, who have finally twigged that LGB stands without the TQ. They're using the hashtag LGB without the TQ. They are standing up for themselves. They are finally twigging over in the States, and that's a big thing to do. They are finally twigging. Actually, a lot of this rhetoric from the TQ cult is homophobic and misogynistic, and I'm so proud of the American lesbians and same-sex attracted men, lesbian and gay men, because they're standing up now and they're starting to be heard. And this has been, I cannot believe how many of them voted for this guy when they wouldn't have dreamt for it, however many years ago it was last time. Was it 8 years ago or something? Last time round. But this time they have, because they've understood the rhetoric of what the TQ cult, which the other woman whose name I've forgotten who was standing for, she represented. So I just sent a big message. I am really impressed. Welcome on board to LGB without the TQ. It's lovely to have you there.
They've only got to see a couple of years of Donald Trump where they aren't impacted badly, where their life actually possibly does get better, and they will realize 100% how much the biased left-leaning media has lied to them. I think a lot of people are waking up to that anyway. But when they actually see that on day one in January, when he's actually in power, from that point, that they aren't automatic. I mean, they're talking about setting up internment camps and stuff like that. I mean, for God's sake, they're insane. When they see that isn't happening, they'll think, hang on a minute, you lot were lying.
Yeah. Look at this. From the 45th and 47th president, you're going to love my second term. Hello there, sir. How are you? All we can say is, well, congratulations.
And he's working hard already, isn't he? He's not even in yet, but he's making plans, which is great. Good for him. Yeah.
Click like and subscribe, please.
Yeah.
That's Donald. So thank you very much for that. Goodness me, can you ever just imagine? Hello to YW2324 who's joined us as well. Hello all, he says, how's it going? It's going really well. We're talking, it's Whose Views here. We're talking headlines for the week. We've just been talking in a roundabout sort of way, to get back to the stories, about Adjoa Andoh, who had starred in a very woke commercial for Boots the Chemist, hashtag boycott Boots. That's taken us on to the look at, with what's happened in America, does Doctor Who now have a future past season 2? Because we all know season 2 is done. It's in the can. It's going to get broadcast on BBC One, the BBC iPlayer, and Disney Plus in the States. And it's not going to do well. Let's face it, it's not going to do well. The American people have taken the lead again, and they have spoken, and they have kicked woke in the arse. The entertainment and media businesses need to pay attention, and they need to listen. Whether or not they're going to, we will soon find out as we move into 2025. Very interesting times we're in. Hello, Sean. Sean is saying to us, how's work this evening, Sean? I hope it's doing well for you. Oh, no, not politicians doing shady things to suit their own interests. Who'd have thought that?
That'll never catch on, will it? Let's be honest.
No, it's never going to be. It's never going to be. They're still losers, JT says Nibbles, aren't they? Just. Oh, goodness me. Yes, great to see you all. A lot here. It's a pity, says Rob Alexander, that we can't vote for a Doctor Who showrunner.
What a good idea. Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
brilliant idea.
Again, what that whole thing goes down to, it's people at BBC Studios who went back to Russell thinking he could save Doctor Who because of the success he had with the first 4 years of Doctor Who, 5 if you include the specials. He was a totally different creature then.
Yeah.
And yet inside the BBC, of course, it's changed as well because they're all DEI driven as well, aren't they? We know that. We've talked about it before here. But it's not just the show, is it, everybody, that we have to worry about in this day and age, because Doctor Who now has everything does. Social media platforms. And staying with the theme of woke and how out of date these blooming people are and how frustrating they are, we've got to understand here that the Doctor Who social media platforms should be for all ages. And yes, I'm including wee bairns as well. Scottish word for babies. And by that, I mean anyone from 4 or 5? Because they're very intelligent now. I see them wandering into the Apple store and finding Bluey on the Apple device and watching it. You know, I can't believe it. Have you seen them? They waddle in, they pick up the thing, blah, 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 Bluey's on. I'm like, I can't even switch the bloody thing on. But anyway, very intelligent kids. Doctor Who should be for everybody. We now know, of course, it's been proven from the nonsense that they've been churning out. It is not for everybody. It is only for sane think, the way people they think. Going back to our subject, it's now out of date. But the Doctor Who social medias have for some time now been a state of absolute nonsense, haven't they? An absolute hilarity. And this week was no exception. Think woke, everybody, because let me introduce you to this man. This is, and now I'm going to read out here, the glowhub.com. This is their description of this gentleman. This is Jamie Windust. And this gentleman was on the BBC social media this week. Now, Jamie here is an award-winning, I'm reading this out, can you tell? Jamie is an award-winning writer, editor, speaker, and model. Jamie started his career using social media as a space to find the LGBTQ plus community. In my day, we went to a pub. He's now...
Is it just online now, though? Is that how it works?
Possibly is, because these days you can't get an LGB pub anymore because we've all been kicked out. And the LGBTQI plus rhetoric. If I see that bloody flag one more time. Anyway, so let's get back to this. Where was I? Now, Jamie here, he's now a very prominent non-binary person in this social space and uses his platform to help amplify others' voices as a collective, i.e. a cult. So that's who this guy is. Have you seen this week, everybody who views on the social media? It's absolutely nonsense. So this is the guy that BBC social media, they've also had him on the podcast, their official podcasts recently. They had him on there, didn't they?
Yeah, I saw him on there. Yeah.
What was he like?
It was painful. It really was. Yeah.
What were they talking about?
I can't remember. It was so inane, basically. They all were on it claiming they're Doctor Who fans and they know nothing about Doctor Who. It's all misinformed, you know.
Well, they won't know anything past Jodie Whittaker's era, surely.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and that's not Doctor Who.
Like a bloody idiot.
Well,
it just looks like an idiot. I mean, what the hell is that? What is he trying to say?
It looks like he's trying to reform Human League or something, isn't he?
It looks like he's fallen in a vat of paint, and just he looks like a color swatch card, doesn't he?
Well, it's very interesting you say that, because on the BBC social media this week, this was, for me personally, this was a mix of hilarity, insult, frustration, because here's BBC social media pushing this alleged non-binary. Jamie, sunshine, you're not. If you've got a penis, darling, you're a man. Get over it. There's no such thing as non-binary in humans, you attention-seeking fraud. Love you. Yeah. But anyway, here we go. This is what was pushed on this week on BBC social media. Doctor Who social media, everybody. This came around. They were doing fashion with this guy. And he says here, one could argue the Doctor has always been a fashion scene stalwart. Now, this reminds me of an article in Doctor Who magazine decades ago, where they actually looked at the fashions of the Doctor. And, you know, there was a thing, I think, on one of the DVDs as well, where they summed up and they decided that the Doctor's fashions were all based on an Edwardian template. You know,
was that a documentary where it was Amy Lammy or something? Whatever name was on it, I think.
Yeah, whatever happened to her? Not that I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Don't tell me. Met her once. Don't want to know.
Answers on a
But anyway,
postcard.
yeah. So this is it here. So there he is there, and he's claiming that in this outfit here, he's been influenced by the 7th Doctor's outfit. Yeah. He then goes on to say here, the fashions of the Time Lord and their companions didn't just influence Doctor Who fans, they became part of the fabric of British pop culture. Really? I'm trying to think of when exactly. Yeah, okay. Pertwee sort of tied in with the whole sort of Jimi Hendrix type thing, but that was just a mistake. That was a happy mistake. Were people running around with ruffles because of John Pertwee in the 70s?
I remember people wearing like multicolored coats, like Colin Baker in the 80s. Remember that? Don't you remember?
Yeah.
I think the nearest it ever got to that was the multicolored
outfits. Were very popular in the early 80s, weren't they?
Yeah.
I just don't understand where it was coming from. But this again is the whole BBC here, BBC social media thing. Now, I'm beginning to think that the BBC social media is run by some sort of 20-year-old in their bedroom, to be quite honest, because of some of the responses coming back now, because we are seeing the responses starting occasionally. And it is all this work with an E and all this juvenile language. So unless it's some guy who's, or some person who's 30 or 40 trying to be down with the kids on behalf of BBC Studios, you are supposed to be BBC Studios. Your social media is supposed to deal with Doctor Who and be as inclusive as possible. And yet, like the television show that you're allowing to be produced, it's excluding millions because this was ridiculous. Look at this. Why fashion has always been at the hearts of Doctor Who by Jamie Windus. This is his article. And there he is saying that the 12th Doctor's outfit, I mean, he looks like Annie Lennox there from the 80s.
He does, yeah. The thing about these articles are, do you ever search, for God's sake?
It's absolutely ridiculous. Here's another one. When the rain pours down or the sun shines out, somewhere in the back of my head, I hear myself asking WWTDW, what would the Doctor wear? Well, he certainly wouldn't wear that nonsense you've got there.
Yeah, who's he imitating there? Who's that man?
That's him. By? That's him.
Oh, that's him. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
not Ina Sharples or something like that, is it? No, it's not.
Yeah, where would he put the hairnet, though? It'd fall off, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh. This show's just out of touch, this TQ cult nonsense is. And people are supposed to accept this. You try walking down the streets of any civilized town or city in the UK like that, you're going to get stares, even today. We are tolerant in the UK. I'll always say that. We are tolerant. Yes, we have the odd nutter, but we are tolerant. But there's a point where you just think, what are you doing? And that's where I'm at now. And when I see him dressing like this, I can just say, I can smell media around him. I can smell that. And I'm supposed to tolerate them. That is not the look of a gay man. That's the look of an attention-seeking narcissist, which is the same thing, I know. But that's it, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. I know non-binary doesn't exist, but if he's non-binary, is he gay? Is he? I mean...
Well, he must be, because according to the glowhub.com, he started his career. This is my changing of their text because they use all this they, them, there, but I refuse. I refuse. Jamie started his career using social media as a space to find the LGBTQ plus community. That's the worst thing you could possibly do.
Because they're so hidden anyway, aren't they? With their months here and their prides there, and because Pride is more TQI now, isn't it? It's not LGBT.
Absolutely.
And they are everywhere. They are just everywhere. You can't look anywhere without them being there. Why would you need to go looking for something? It's like going out on an expedition to see if you can discover air. It's everywhere. And
yeah, and we're not hiding like we were when I came along in the late 80s. You know, that was all in the UK. It was bars with no windows. You know, all the windows were blacked out for some bizarre reason I still don't understand. Some of them were underground. Some of them you had to go around other buildings to find. You know, nightclubs were whispered. You know, oh, there's such and such a night at such and such a place on a Monday or a Tuesday. You know, and gradually
it was like prohibition, wasn't it? Really, to be honest,
it really was. I inherited that world, and it changed through the 90s to be a bit more acceptable. The blinds came out of the windows; people could see into the bars. The nights were put out there. Heterosexuals, of course, started coming towards the end of the 90s to our nightclubs, especially the girls, because the girls knew they weren't going to get any hassle. until the straight boys found out where they were going, and then they started invading our spaces. It was all this, but it was integrated then as well. But we didn't mind so much. It was all there. Now they don't exist, and now we've got loonies like this. I just don't understand it. Now here's a picture for you all as well, because here he is with well-known homophobe Juno Dawson. And I'm going to say it because that's my opinion. Juno Dawson is a trans woman author. You may also know her from the Doctor Who podcast. From the Doctor Who podcast. You may also know him from that awful thing they did with Jodie Whittaker. Well, I think it was called Reducted or something.
Yeah. I think Redacted, I think it was. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Right. Well, there you go. Never listen.
Either way, it's rubbish. It's fine.
Yeah.
It should have been redacted.
Again, part of the TQ
decommissioned.
Yeah, with a big black pen right the way through. I mean, that's just two cocks with frocks, isn't it?
De-accessioned and junked. That's what you mean.
He is an utter homophobe. Some of the stuff he has said about gay men and same-sex attracted men and women, he's a homophobe. I'm saying it, but how dare? And yet the BBC clamber for these people. They clamber to, we've got to be seen to be diverse and inclusive, and oh my gosh, when we get these people, they're not vetting these people anymore, are they? They're not vetting them properly. Now, children are watching this sort of stuff as well. And when you're getting somebody like that idiot Sam Smith coming out saying, "Oh, I'm non-binary," no wonder there's an epidemic in the schools, because the teachers are pushing all this. It's utter nonsense, and we all know that teachers, the majority of the teachers, Guardian reading, champagne swilling idiots that they are so full of this extreme left-wing ideological crap. You can see people from the public sector, especially, you can see who's been on unconscious bias training, because the police won't arrest certain people. The teachers are picking on certain people, allegedly. All this. And here's the BBC coming down with all this as well. The kids are looking at all this. What is this supposed to be about? What is this alleged article, which is that one, why fashion has always been at the heart of Doctor Who? Why have they gone to him exactly? Do you know what I was saying? They've gone to him because he ticks the box.
Yeah.
But they are obsessed with it. But then they are monumentally out of touch, because I saw on X an excerpt from this week's, I think it was this week's Question Time, with that dopey woman that does the Antiques Roadshow as well. What's her face?
Fiona Bruce.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
And she made a statement in that. And she said that basically, I'm not saying word for word, but she basically said that it was an established fact that the majority of the British public did not like Donald Trump.
What?
And it's like, and on what basis did she make that assumption?
She made that assumption. She said that.
Yes. Yeah.
That's breaching the BBC's code of conduct.
Absolutely, and there's complaints have flooded in, apparently.
Oh, right, okay.
But yeah, she said exactly that, and it's how do you what she's done is she's taken the BBC ultra far left ideology and she's applied it to the entire country, and that is how the BBC views it. They will insist that your politics are their politics, and you are, of course, the great unwashed, as they've admitted themselves. Employees have admitted themselves. That's how they refer to us. I know, JT, you've mentioned it before. Yeah. That is how they officially view people, the great unwashed. And, if there's ever been an argument for shutting down the whole damn thing, then that's it, I think. Get rid. But yeah, she came out and said that. But it shows you how out of touch they are as an organization. They think totally. We just want to be fed. We want our kids to be fed TQI propaganda. But
it's lies, isn't it?
Yeah.
The BBC, these educational types, even some politicians are pushing all this non-binary nonsense. It's a fiction. It is a lie. Humans cannot be non-binary. You are male or female. End of story, you idiot loons. And they're pushing all this nonsense. They're telling youngsters, and the BBC have been guilty of this as well. They've had those shows on children's BBC telling the children there are more than two genders. No, there isn't. Oh, you might be in the wrong body. No, you're not. It's sick. It's poisonous. And this is the BBC. And now they're doing it through Doctor Who. And that really annoys me. As a fan, as a proper fan, how dare they do that? How dare they take all these TV shows, including our beloved Time Lord, and change it to their poisonous self point of view? I think it's shocking. Lex, thank you for your super chat. I've no idea. He's asking us the new version of Dale the Jackal, and he goes, no idea. Not
Has
sure
that got Eddie Redmayne in it? Is it?
I've heard good things about it.
All right.
Oh, that? Oh, I don't know. There you go. I've not heard about it, but there you go. And Blue Planet is saying it's now reached the point where they're damaging all of Doctor Who, not just the current stuff. The brand has been forever tarnished. Even revisiting the Tennant era doesn't feel the same anymore. It's a great point, isn't it, guys, that Blue Planet's making there?
We just have a look at Empire of Death, the return of Sutek, once loved great enemy and character, and now been ruined, you know, so, yeah.
I think it's a great point that Blue Planet's making there. I think the fact is, I do think, Blue Planet, that there's always going to be a market for the original Doctor Who because it's proper storytelling. And I don't care what people say. There's no real agendas in it. Of course, we've all had this thing where people get back saying, oh, Doctor Who's always been woke. Oh, it's always had the left wing narrative. It even comes from some of the actors. Not to the extent where you notice it, unless you want to, because the writers, the producers, the directors were talented. They weren't falling over themselves like the actors now to, oh, we've got to have this, got showrunners now and writers now. They weren't doing that. If you didn't see the message, you didn't see the message. You still got the science fiction story, didn't you, Blue Planet?
Yeah.
And I think there's always going to be a market, but I think you're right. I think it will have an effect where people, especially in the UK, will go, Doctor Who, no. I do think there is a danger.
It did it right, didn't it? Because you look at the penultimate series for Pertwee and the final series for Pertwee. You know, so we're talking series 10 and series 11, and you've got in Britain at the time, you had a series of miners' strikes. They brought one government down and they were controlling the other. So there was huge issues going off with the miners. And yet you had a story set in Wales in a coal mine that was being shut down, and there was disputes, there was pickets, and there was also environmental concerns. And what do you remember about that? You remember that it was one of the best Pertwee stories ever, The Green Death. It was fantastic. A little bit laboured at 6 episodes, but so many iconic moments. You know, and then you
the
go.
General public just remember the good parts, but the giant maggots.
The one with the maggots.
The
Exactly.
monsters. Yeah. The general public in the UK remember the Doctors. Sorry, and they'll remember the first 4 Doctors, especially, possibly the 5th. And they'll remember the monsters. It's always the Daleks, the Cybermen, the Potato Head Men. That's it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
The maggots, the big insect, the one with the bumps on it, Zygons. That's what it comes down to all the time.
But then you go into Pertwee's penultimate story. You got Monster of Peladon, and you've got basically striking miners just on an alien
that
planet.
should be 4 episodes, Ian. That one definitely, yes.
Definitely should be 4 episodes, if not 3. But you know what? It was just enjoyed for what it was. Agador, you know, the Ice Warriors, bad Ice Warriors again, you know, and that's what you remember. You don't remember that it was actually could be seen as being a little bit political, but it was never just what it was about. It was never just, here's our political message, the end. You know, it was good storytelling first, and they can't do that now. They haven't been able to do it for a while.
Yeah. Apologies to Heretic OSJC, who's just telling us, just ruined Ajoa Andoh for my partner, as she didn't know she was the one who made the racist comment about the royal family. She's now upset I ruined this actress for her. Yes, we all are, though, aren't we? Because when these alleged entertainers open their big mouth, look at how many of us were upset and disgusted about David Tennant, RTD himself. Yeah. And this is why I keep saying, keep your big gobs shut. Keep your personal opinions to yourself, because you will automatically, Sylvester last week, you will automatically lose 50%, if not more, of your audience. Now, these people in Doctor Who, you need, as do all actors actually, you need the American public on your side to go and watch your latest television show or your latest theatre project or your latest movie. And you've just got at 75% of them, 75, if not more, percent. Why would they want to follow it? Why would they want to invest in your shows? Why would they want to buy the merchandise you're associated with? These people need to start thinking and shutting up, quite frankly.
Why would they want to go and see you at a convention if you've just said 3 out of 4 of you are basically idiots.
Islamophobes and ots. Yeah, you know, and we've been dealing with this for far too long now.
Yeah.
Frank Spencer, it's good to see you. Disney will insist on an American actor to play the Doctor you watch. I think I don't know. I'm the BBC resisted last time, i.e. Paul McGann.
Yeah.
And the Doctor has to stay British. We all know that. He has to. The show itself has to stay British. I think it has lost a lot of its Britishness, as we saw this year. We're going to be looking at what's coming on with the Christmas special. We're going to look at what's coming on with Series 2. I didn't spot that element of Britishness that I recognise as being in Doctor Who. I have to be honest. Let's see where it goes. But I don't think there's a market, Frank Spencer. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, in this changing world that we're in, and let's face it, the world is now changing. Whether you like it or not, it's changing again. It could be for the good, it could be the better. We don't know. We don't see into the future. We can't see what's going to happen within 4 years. But things will change. Inevitable. And we've got to roll with it. And I don't think there's going to be a place for Doctor Who. I didn't think it last week. I certainly don't think it now. I think it's done. I think it's over. Especially when you've got somebody like the current lot doing it, Frank. I think it's gone.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Domgo was saying there must be about 3 Americans waiting to see the next uploads of the singing, crying, and dancing Doctor. That many?
Yeah.
That many. A lot of you were saying this in the chat. I did notice. Care Avon is saying Doctor Who has crashed, but I have my Blake 7 Blu-ray to watch along with Babylon 5. Oh, you've got yours already. The Blake 7 Blu-ray that we're covering here on the show, I have covered here on Who's Views, is out tomorrow in all your recommended retail stockists. I know that some of you do have it. It arrived yesterday. I am very, very jealous because mine hasn't. But happy Blake 7 Day tomorrow for all the Blake 7 fans that are joining with us. Because you know what? We cross over, don't we, guys? We all like different things as well as the same things. Yeah. So, you know, with Doctor Who, we like Blake 7. We could like, what's it called? Star Trek. Yeah, that's it. Star Wars. But, you know, we cross over. You know, we do. I'm a big fan of most of them to a point.
Yeah.
I.e. the 21st century. That's when it all goes wrong. Let's face it. Goodness me. Karina. Hello, Karina. It's nice to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. So why did the Tories vote for another minority? Maggie Thatcher was enough. Ooh, it's a good question. Why did the Tories vote for another minority? What's that mean?
They're referring to Kemi Badenoch, are they?
Oh, I love Kemi Badenoch. Don't be saying anything about her, Karina. I love her. She knows what a woman is.
That's
I'm not really a Tory, but I was very impressed with her as well, I have to say. But,
I am. You know,
I think Starmer's going to have a very hard time because now he's being challenged every week at PMQs by a very intelligent, very upright, and very principled, and very, very, very clever woman of colour. I don't think he'll cope because he's very much scripted. He's very scripted. He's got his book, which is supposed to be notes, but he actually reads from it rather than just refers to it. And I think she'll absolutely eviscerate him. It's going to be a joy to watch.
I wish he'd try and remember he's Prime Minister, though. That's hilarious when he keeps calling the opposition the Prime Minister. He did that with what's his name, Rishi Sunak. You know, so
I saw this on various Tube of Who things. I thought, oh my God, what's he doing? Julianne, congratulations, because Julianne, everybody had a cheeky bet on the orange one getting in and won 30 quid. You know, I wish I'd done that because I knew him. You know, damn it, why didn't I do that? I'm an idiot. Hello, Jack. Jack Thursby's joining us. America has woken up. The UK will catch up eventually, only after more damage is done. I hope it's not too much damage. But talking of damage, Jack, what do you think? Has the damage been done now for Doctor Who? Do you think there's a place in this new world that we're entering? Or do you think it could scrape through for a 3rd and 4th series with American money? I don't know. Well, we are talking now about the BBC's social media as well, which is absolutely ridiculous. Let me know what you're thinking of this one, because as we just pointed out there, this guy, Jamie Windust, has been courted by BBC social media a couple of times now. He's been on the podcast with them, their official podcast, which I've never listened to, but Paul tells me it's dreadful, so why would I want to bother?
It's dreadful, yeah. I couldn't get, I tried watching all of them. I couldn't get through half of them, honestly. It was so bad. Really.
Absolutely. Karina's saying to us all, reminded that Martina Navratilova had a trans woman coaching her in the early 80s, and she was outed by Tucker Carlson's dad. We're not saying anything about that. We're not, Karina, we're not saying that. Yes, that is a fact. Who cares? That's the point. Nobody should care. Nobody did then, and it was the early 80s. Nobody cared. You know, I'm a gay man myself. I can tell you this. Nobody cared. Nobody batted an eyelid. But what didn't happen was that any old man could slap on a wig and a pinafore dress, call himself Deirdre, and enter spaces that belong only to women, or go into sports that should be women's only sports. That didn't happen. And it shouldn't be happening now, in my opinion. It's got to stop. It has to stop, because TWs are men and TMs are women. As a gay man, I can actually tell you that 100%. And that's the whole point of why LGB without the TQ exists. It looks like the Republican Party in America have cottoned onto that, and that's how they got the gay vote. Because he actually, what's his name, Vance?
Yeah,
the Vice President Vance. He came out and said this. You can see it on the Tubafoo. He came out and said, LGB and TQ are two totally different things, and we have to recognize that. Bang, instant vote winner.
Yeah.
Did you also notice that he made a very, very, very clear statement about what the current Labour government was doing, locking people up?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was very, very clear, straight off the fence. I don't think this is going to be a government that messes around. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah. So we've got all that. Right. Have we all seen, has anybody got any, I mean, I'm very concerned about where BBC social media is for Doctor Who right now. I'm just pushing all this nonsense, this non-binary TQ cult dictate. I think they've really got to act on that now, and I think they've got to push that away, not just because of what we're talking about, the big picture here, but because I'm generally beginning to believe now that the war on woke is coming, the end is in sight. I think we're going to have this for a few more years, especially in our country, but I just think it's all going to finish. I hope. I've got my fingers crossed anyway.
Well, like we said, we have to see what happens in America and what develops there and what comes across from there over here, so that'll be interesting to see how all that pans out, won't it?
It does. It really does. Hello to Martin McKnife here, or McNiff. How do I say that, Martin? It's lovely to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. RTD's first run was great. It's such a shame. Well,
yeah, I think we all felt like that.
Yeah.
We all feel very let down by him, don't we?
We have such a sense of hope.
Yeah,
we did, didn't we? And now it's all in the toilet, flushed, gone.
Yeah,
it's probably in the North Sea by now. Quite frankly, all that hope, and all the trust we put into him. What an absolute nonce. I like this one from Rick Storm. Boots will be exfoliated. Very good. See, we have some very creative viewers here, don't we? They are brilliant.
I love Rick Storm's avatar. I really do. I love that one.
Good. Yeah, thank you. As I got rid of it. We've got here as well Peter Bankman saying, was that the Jamie Windhurst picture? Was that not an upcoming alien? Nibbles, what planet is he from? And Mark saying, what the what else we got here? Hello to Douglas Smith, who's joined us as well, and Daniel Raven saying to us, Jed's and indeed ladies form an orderly queue. Yeah, I'm very concerned about where BBC social media is these days. I'm very concerned where the BBC is, but I don't know what.
There's nothing wrong with a bold clown. I'm just saying that.
There isn't. There really isn't.
Yeah. Just with inclusion there. That was all.
And Tardis Travels asking, is he the new Doctor Who? Some people would argue it's only a matter of time. I would argue there's not going to be another one. I think we're on the last one now. I really, really do. Paul Rose is saying it all. Woke BS, go away. And Lee Smith is pointing out people look like this in the 1980s new wave. That's the point, as we're saying there. Yeah. I mean, one of those pictures there, you look like Annie Lennox from the Eurythmics stage,
Yeah.
This is, if they're trying to shock us, as I suspect this idiot is, it's not going to work because you're dealing with the kids that were around in the 80s. We might be 50 plus to you, but we were doing things before you were born that would shock you. I can guarantee we were living in sin, for crying out loud.
Allegedly, yes.
Well, they would turn if they could go back to the 80s and see what we were all doing, and how a lot of us went onto the androgyny bandwagon as well. Especially a lot of the girls, or especially a lot of the men. The whole 1980s new wave thing. Look at Boy George, for crying out loud. Now he really shook things up. You lot have got no clue what you were doing, and we were there first. So yaboo to you. You're not going to shock us. You might think we're old.
They wouldn't cope going back to the 1980s because for a start off, you had to have a spine, and you had to be able to live your life properly and be independent and be expected to not be such a wet blanket, you know.
Yeah.
And they have none of those. These what are they termed? Millennials, maybe? I don't know. Obviously not all.
Gen Z.
Obviously.
It might be Gen Z. I'm not sure. I get it all confused. But again, it's a label, isn't it? Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
The makeup looks very Steve Strange in a way, didn't it? Some of it.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
But
again,
style.
40 years ago. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, exactly. Steve Strange. Oh, well, legend. Lived up to his name as well. In a sort of classy way as well, wasn't he, really? You know, but yeah, as you say, that all done before. You're not shocking us, kids. Please warn us next time, JT, that before you flash up a picture like that. Okay. Sorry about
doing
that.
trigger warnings on this show as well now, are we?
Lots of comments coming in about this particular article now from BBC social media, including this one from Julianne. Everything about him says, look at me, pay attention to me. I am so interesting and important. Isn't that the majority of them, Julianne? Aren't they all doing that? It's just absolutely ridiculous. And Shempmeister saying to us, doesn't surprise me at all that Doctor Who social media brings in people like this. It shouldn't shock me to that sense, but it didn't shock me. It just appalls me in a sense, because I'm just thinking they are, again, going back to points I've made before, they are so desperate to get that audience in. It's a minority, you idiots, and hopefully they'll grow up and get over it. You know, and all this non-binary stuff, it's ridiculous. And where are the adults? Can the adults please come back into the room and start telling the children there's no such thing as non-binary? David Tennant, you know, I mean, really, there's no such thing. It's a delusion. Get over yourselves, you idiot people. They wind me up, chronic guys. You know, Marjorie is saying to us, he looks like a new romantic reject. Exactly. Kess the Drone is saying he looks like the child catcher. I can good part for him there on the stage. And that picture is the old makeup gun that Homer Simpson created. Laugh my arse off, says Sean Oliver. Garbage, what are you saying? The window dummies on Spearhead from space look more real than that guy. But this is the thing, isn't it? So listen. I don't know. I think it's ridiculous. This one from Karina. Jono Dawson's coming for you. Well, let him try. Let him try. You can come on the show and you can talk to me about his homophobia. He can absolutely talk to me. I've got a few friends that might want to talk to him about his homophobia as well, Karina.
He won't, though, will he? Because, you know, he's quite happy just to hide behind a microphone and a podcast and everything else, but wouldn't have the literal or metaphoric balls. He's probably got the literal balls, but wouldn't have the metaphoric balls to do it.
Well, they can all come on, can't they, Ian? We've put the invite out there to the tenants, to RTD himself, the entire cult that are running our favourite show. Now, please come and talk to us. You are very welcome. whosviews1@gmail.com.
And unlike them, we'll be very polite.
And we will question you professionally, to the point. And I will be asking questions about why the TQ, in your opinion, is relevant to LGB when it's got nothing to do with us. All there. So, I don't know, bizarre. Terrified Monk. I saw this monstrosity on the official Who podcast before I discovered this podcast. Thank you so much, Terrified Monk. It did not feel inclusive when I saw it. Well, it's not, is it?
It's not at all. No.
It's not TM. No, it's exclusive, like the show itself. It's now only for those with the same think, and those that are.
And that particular show, I think, had those two and Crystal Meth as well. The one I saw.
Can you imagine that? That's the stuff of real nightmares there.
It is indeed.
That's a proper Doctor Who nightmare. But these things are made for those that are maybe, possibly, allegedly forming opinions, i.e. the young. And because everybody is now so intent on being seen to be saying and doing the right thing, which is quite selfish in a way, people are lying left, right, and centre. They really are, aren't they? It's just utter nonsense. What else? Thank you so much for everybody that's actually chatting to us. It's going very quick in the chat. The only iconic Doctor Who look, says Raymond Williams, was the one with the long scarf, but only Tom could pull that look off. Yep. Yeah. Peter proved that. In Castrovalva, it didn't suit him at all, did it? Bless him. He was sort of in the middle of this great big thing going on. It was bizarre. Peter Vankman is also saying to us, I love the Doctor's older fashion style. Something about a guy wearing a large bow tie around his neck that's probably just attractive to only me. Probably.
With a safety pin to hold it on. Yeah.
Yeah. Colin Baker's 80s shell suits, says Lee Smith. And stuff like this is why I cannot talk about Doctor Who with people I know, says Terrified Monk. Show me people that want to talk about Doctor Who again now in the public.
Yeah, like it's like going back into the Doctor Who closet again. That used to be fun, wasn't it? Yeah.
Because they're not interested.
Yeah.
The general public doesn't care about Doctor Who anymore. It really doesn't care. And so, you know, when I tell people about this channel, oh, is that still on? Yeah. What's the talk about? Oh, it's rubbish. You get all the negatives about it, and I say, well, that's what we talk about. That's what we talk about. Yes, we know. That's what we talk about. Please subscribe. It's all there. It's just ridiculous.
Can you put Stephen Braddock's line on just there again, just a minute? I want to highlight his avatar.
Which one?
Stephen Braddock, the one with there's one you just had up just recently, just the last one you had up.
I didn't see it, Paul. You have to read it to me. I can't see it.
All right, just the one you had up previously. I
didn't read it.
Okay, fine. Stephen Braddock had a picture, a lovely drawing of an alien from Outer Limits. I just want to check if that's what it was. It's superb, really well done. Yeah. Maybe Stephen can tell us if that's what it was. But yeah, that's the one. Yeah. It looks like an alien from Outer Limits. It's superb. Really nice. Yeah.
And he was saying to us, Guy is ridiculous. He looks like Annie Lennox, not the Doctor. There are lots of chat here. Thank you so much, everybody. It's great to see you all. Welcome. Science fiction adventure has always been at the heart of Doctor Who, says the Times of Wayne Chiang. Yes, more than anything else, especially for those of us in Britain where it originated for a British audience. It was never meant to be worldwide, really. It was meant to be for your Saturday afternoon tea time. So, you know, it's got to this point where we are at now. But I'm going to say again, without the support of the British public, without the support of the fandom, there's no show. There is absolutely no show. Yokai63, it's lovely to see you again. The Doctor's address sense was always old-fashioned, Victorian or Edwardian influence. That all ended when Eccleston was cast, but I'm sure they'll return that traditional template one day. Are you?
Well,
I think they tried a bit with Matt Smith a little bit, but that's about it. You know?
Yeah. I'm not sure they're going to get a chance, though. To be quite honest.
If we're not getting another one after Shooty, then there's no chance of it happening. Yeah,
I don't think so. I really don't think so. But there we go. But yeah, so that's the state of where we're up to. Goodness me, with the BBC social media, which is just as bad as the television show. Sometimes I wonder if they're just trying to kiss a certain person's arse. But I'd like to know how old the person is that's running that account, because they come across as a very uneducated, misinformed 14-year-old. They really, really do. Daniel, Pride happened in the first place because people were trying to make gays feel ashamed, but no one in this country at least seems to be trying to do that. Which country are you in, Daniel? If you are in the UK, I can tell you you're absolutely wrong. They are. That's why there's LGB and there's the TQ. And if you look at what the TQ cult is dictating on LGB, it is homophobic, because they're telling us that we have to accept that a TW is a woman and a TM is a man. They're not. If you have a penis, you're a man. If you have a vagina, you're a woman. End of story. That's it. And then there's people like the alleged charity Stonewall have come back over the last few years, redefined what it means to be homosexual in their definitions that they give out to businesses and charities, and basically put the TQ right or TQ agendas above same-sex ones. I would suggest you look at LGBT Alliance, which is the new same-sex charity here in the UK, because they're representing LGBT more than Stonewall has done for the last few years, definitely since 2016, 2017. So yes, and Pride, I've had friends evicted from Pride for being same-sex attracted, and they won't take the knee to that bloody progressive flag. I can assure you, it's shocking, absolutely shocking. Pronouns and all this nonsense. No. It's wrong. It's just wrong, and it's misogynistic, and it is homophobic. Anyways, thank you for getting onto that, everybody. We're going to move on now to this. I don't know if you've seen this week, but this is from the Radio Times. Doctor Who Ncuti Gatwa to introduce Christmas special teaser at Children in Need.
Oh, can't wait for that one.
Well, look at this. Excitement apparently is amping up for Joy to the World.
Camping up, maybe.
Ramping up. Yeah.
Is anybody excited about the Christmas edition? Have you seen anybody getting excited? I haven't even seen the minority getting excited about this yet. I really, really haven't. But I think that's a bit of a stretch there, radiotimes.com. But yes, this is all about what we said was going to be going on. Now, this ties in with the fact that this week on the BBC's social media, they announced what Paul was mentioning before, that on the show's 61st anniversary on the 23rd of November, they're going to be releasing snippets, backstage things, outtakes, extended scenes, etc., from the filming of Series 1 with Ncuti Gatwa.
The outtakes might make more sense than the actual episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a thought.
Well,
They'll get higher
that,
ratings.
I mean, you have to
That'd be
watch
funny,
all
wouldn't it?
footage from season 1. That's the problem. Yeah.
Well, that whole news, of course, really raised the profile of the show, and there was a huge bout of publicity about this, and everybody was like really excited and
Yeah.
They couldn't wait for it. As Time Lord Victorious is saying to us here, hello you, children in need of Ncuti leaving Doctor Who. Yeah. Heretic is saying to us though, look, I won't lie, I'm looking forward to the Christmas special, but I'm one of the few people who apparently likes a Moffat written Christmas special. Well, we will soon find out, because it's going to be on, as we know, on BBC One on the 25th of December, Christmas Day itself, but on the iPlayer at midnight and at a decent time everywhere else in the world. You'll be getting it via Disney's platforms. So there we go. Paul is also reminding us, look, Joy to the World with the comedy Silurian. I am really not looking forward to that. Again, Stephen Moffat doing what he does best, taking a classic character and camping it up with them, and either making it an Athian or Gang or some sort of butler. Absolute nonsense. Raymond is saying, hey, it's what they left in that upset me. On the ball, Raymond. On the ball, you are.
It's when the outtakes get more higher ratings than the actual episode that it'll.
I wouldn't take much in, would it? Let's be honest.
No, it wouldn't really.
This is all going to be on their social media platforms, of course, i.e. their YouTube channel and wherever else they push it, possibly even on the iPlayer. I don't know about that one yet. But Tony Farrell is here saying, so gone are the days when Doctor Who filmed a special scene for children in need, now just the trailer. Well, yes, because they filmed it all in advance. They filmed it in 2022 and 2023, both seasons. Ncuti is now out of contract and he's doing a play. So that's why he's doing this waving at camera type thing, as Garbage is calling it. So let's get into this and learn a bit more. Doctor Who's Ncuti Gatwa to introduce the Christmas special teaser at Children in Need. Okay, so here we go. And as excitement for the 2024 Doctor Who Christmas special amps up, it's been revealed that Children in Need will debut an exclusive teaser of the episode, oh whoopie-doo. With a specially recorded introduction from the Doctor himself, Ncuti Gatwa, the footage will give a preview of Joy to the World, written by Stephen Moffat. The BBC has also confirmed an out-of-this-world treat for fans as Children in Need launches a very special auction. The Christmas special will star Gatwa as the Doctor and Derry Girls actress Nicola Coughlan. Coughlan herself has called her character Joy, a determined woman whose life is changed forever when she meets the Doctor. This is the same stuff again, guys. We've heard all this before. It carries on from radiotimes.com. The teaser, now this is the teaser that was shown at the San Diego Comic-Con thing. And we talked about that in the previous headline. So it goes on to talk about, you've already had a teaser from it. Remember that thing that everybody, that was just clips, such and such a place in such a year, and he's turning up with pumpkin latte or whatever it was. Remember?
Yeah.
That's the teaser. So the teaser showed us various castings, including Peter Benedict as Basil, Julia Watson as Hilda, and confirmed the return of the Silurians, with Sherlock star Jonathan Arris playing a Silurian called Melnak. Previously speaking about what's coming up at Christmas, showrunner RTD said, now the Doctor voyages forward, and guess what always happens to the Doctor every so often? Christmas. Here comes Christmas. I can't give away much more, but work has begun on it already, and it's mad. It's one of the maddest Christmas specials you'll ever see. It's epic. So many different places. It's a great story of who the Doctor is when he's alone. And then it says there, following the Christmas special, Doctor Who returns in the spring. There you go, in the spring, everybody. So expect it around about April or May. With Ncuti, it looks like Disney's got its way again. With Ncuti Gatwa back as the 15th Doctor, allegedly, and Varada Setu as new companion. Ta-da! So there you go, Children in Need. It's on the way with this this clip coming back.
Can I say one merciful thing is we don't have a special scene this year like the one we had last year. Remember the Davros Gate one? That was so good, wasn't it? Yeah.
And that's where all the nonsense started. That's when we all
Yeah.
started to think this is not going to be what we want it to be, because what they've done to Davros. So this one is basically, because Shooty's out of contract, allegedly. I'm filming. Well, not allegedly, isn't he? And also doing the show. He's too busy to actually come and do anything else, I would imagine. Not that I'm suggesting there might be any other reasons at all. Not suggesting that at all. I'm not putting it out there. Anyway, so yeah, but there we go. So he's going to do this introduction, and basically they're going to show a clip from the new episode, like they did with the Runaway Bride at the Albert Hall all those years ago. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Now that's when it was exciting.
That's when you got really excited about it, wasn't it?
Yeah. And when you saw that, and everybody went, "Oh!" Remember that audible gasp? As everybody went, "Oh, we're going to get something new." Now that was a proper little summer teaser. Who's going to watch this? Now, bearing in mind that the Children in Need ratings last year were down, and so was, I believe, allegedly, the total of money made, because there's a lot of stories going on about Children in Need for the last few years that they are paying through the nose for their staff, including the equivalent of their CEO. Anyway, that's another story. But
isn't that charities allegedly all over, though, isn't it? They're all like that, aren't they? They all take a huge whack to run a charity, allegedly, and then what's left over goes to charity. So,
I mean, is that how it works? Is that how it? Oh, I don't understand how that works, but it's amazing how many businesses class themselves as a charity anyway to get around certain things, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
I'm not implying anything, Paul. Hey,
no, me neither. No.
Daryl's with us. Hello to Daryl Joyce. Nice to see you. Daryl is saying to us here, did I see a rumor that the Sea Devils have been redesigned in line with the new Silurians with human faces? Eek. Yes, you did, Daryl. That is a rumor out there that the Sea Devils that are appearing in the spin-off are a new branch of the Sea Devils. Absolutely.
Martha's sister is going to be a Sea Devil, apparently.
Well, this is it. So stay with us, because as we learn more, we're going to have something to say about this, aren't we, Who Viewers? Oh, yes,
they need to use your Sea Devils, Daryl. That's what I'm saying. I'll tell you that,
if only.
Now, this is what I wanted to say. Congratulations, Daryl, because on our Facebook page today, on Who's Views Facebook, we did shared your lovely video. Now, Daryl, in case you don't know, has, of course, just had a huge hit. Excuse me. Talk about yourselves for a second. With this is his calendar, Daryl Joyce's Moments in Time, which we have been supporting here on Who's Views. Wonderful 2025 calendar. So absolutely, if you missed out on that, give us an email, whosviews1@gmail.com. We'll see what we can do. But it's wonderful. But also with some of his other art, Daryl has actually put together, I think it's so clever, this AI video, which is available on our Who Views channel. It's available on Daryl's YouTube channel as well. I recommend it, not right now, but after the show. I know Kirsty or Garbage will put the link in the chat for you as well. And it's stunning, and it's using his art. And Daryl, I just wanted to say, how brilliant was that? Because I suddenly realized that with somebody like you, we could have a proper Doctor Who animation.
Yeah.
There's so many good things in it. The bit with the master at the start is great. The bits with the Roma men are superb. And the 10th Planet Cybermen. Amazing stuff. Well done, Daryl.
Scary.
Really
Yeah.
I was watching it with my jaw open. Honestly, it was absolutely incredible. It is incredible. Everybody should go out there and look at that. It felt, I think I mentioned to you too, it felt like the first really proper 100% proper new Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Since 1989, really.
Yeah.
It was just off the scale. Really was.
Super.
So anyway, Who's Views copyright there. Let's commission Daryl to get a cartoon done in the next few years. When the show comes off air, Daryl, let's get in touch and let's do it.
Yeah.
An animation of that. I mean, and he said it took him 3 days and £7.50.
Yeah.
So I'm doing
well
some sort
spent,
of math.
I have to say.
Doing some very good maths very quick maths over my Weetabix this morning. I thought, hey up. Look how much it would do to do 6 episodes. Hang on a second. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Sorry, Daryl. Sorry, mate, but there we go. But well done. Mark, thank you for your super chat. How much do I need to pledge for the BBC not to show it? Good question. They'll take anything from you, won't they?
Yeah.
They would. So, Mark, it might be.
I'd be interested. If this is a trailer for the Christmas special, I wonder at Christmas if we'll get a possible little montage of clips for the coming season like they used to do. Remember they used to do that?
Do you really care?
Well, just to see how crap it's going to be. I can't wait to see how crap it's going to be. To be
Well,
honest.
I would imagine they will do, because they're so bloody predictable, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're going to, and they still believe that if they get people hooked in on Christmas Day, they're going to come back in May. They didn't this year, did they?
Yeah.
You know, they didn't bother.
It's not going to happen.
No, and according to that Radio Times out, it looks like Disney has got its way, and it's back in spring. So we're looking at May, everybody, May 2025, for the start of this 8 weeks of pure drivel again.
Yeah.
So there we go. You know, that's what it's looking like to me. Poor old Russell hasn't been listened to once more, which is incredibly embarrassing, unless he went with it. I don't know. I'm all speculation. It's all alleged. It's all me and my big gob. Stephen Braddock is saying, I'm not looking forward to the comedy Silurians, and now it's been revealed we are getting human sea devils. God help us.
We knew that was coming, though, didn't we, to be honest?
Yeah, we've speculated, haven't we? I'll tell you something, though. We will have a lot of content to talk about there as we go past Christmas and into the new year. Oh, yes. And don't forget, this is even before we've reviewed the blooming episodes. 5 episodes of cringe coming. I would have rather have seen what I think is the Sea Devil.
Yeah.
How can you change the Sea Devils? It didn't work for the Silurians. Why would you do it with the Sea Devils, you utter cretins? I mean, people want monsters, you morons. We don't want Star Trek monsters in Doctor Who. Stupid idiots.
Or make them do something,
I'll do it.
Do something different. Don't spoil the old ones or the good ones.
Yeah.
Stephen's reminding us that in 1983, the 5 Doctors 2024 teaser. Yeah. And it'll be a scene. It'll be one sort of scene, possibly the one where he meets her or something like that, or something like that. And it is, you're right, Stephen, it's going to be a teaser to try and get people to watch it. Now, again, you're looking from November, the end of November, to Christmas Day. In Britain right now, I think there's better things to do.
Yeah.
They're not going to, this isn't going to work for them. The British public are not coming back. It's gone. It's done. It's dusted. Out of touch, everybody. Sorry, but it's true. In fact, I'm not sorry. I've been saying it for years. Divining Dragon is saying to Daryl Joyce, you are the only one who I might trust to properly create some of our favorites. Daryl's take on some of these beloved classics of ours are gorgeous. And that's what artists can do when they've got passion and they understand Doctor Who. And it's a fan whose ego isn't driving him. You know, it's absolutely wonderful what he's done. Absolutely gorgeous. Dalek I am not looking forward to the Christmas special, but the Who's Views review, that's what I'm looking forward to. Oh, bless you.
We won't disappoint, will we?
We'll do our best not to. Yeah. I hope we don't like it. That's going to be a problem if we like it.
If we like it, we will say we like it.
Yeah, we will.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
Can you imagine? If we like it, then the majority of fandom will like it as well with us, I would say. You know, but we are fairly balanced. So if we like it, we will say we will like it. But stay with us, because yes, we are going to be reviewing Joy to the World. Stay with us. The December schedule is more or less in place now. We're going to be revealing it, strangely, in December. We've got all that there for you. Philip Roy, who's of course very busy at the moment doing his own Doctor Who film. Hi everyone. I'm not sure after a big Christmas dinner my stomach could take a typical lightweight shooty Xmas special slathered in Murray Gold's plinky plonky comedy mood music. Phew.
You're likely to park a tiger with that one, to be fair, I think.
Yeah.
Exactly. Listen, also Philip, very, very near, I think, to finishing your film, aren't you? Because he sneakily put out on the social media this week the construction of his TARDIS, the inside of his TARDIS, I seem to think. So well done, congratulations, and looking forward to getting you back on the show, probably in the new year when you've got it in the can, and talking a little bit more for you. Don't forget, we'll support you any way we can. So nice to see you, Philip. Isn't that lovely, everybody? Domgo, you are naughty. Hello, my name is Shooty Gatwa. I will be in a show called Doctor Who on Christmas Day. Please, for the love of God, watch it. Yep. Rob Alexander is crying out, give us a companion from the past or an alien planet.
Yeah, I'd be more interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah.
The days of a Leela or a Romana or an Adric or a Nissa are long gone.
Or even Victoria or something like that would be nice, yeah.
They have this infatuation, don't they? It's got to be from the modern day so that the audience recognizes them and can relate to them. Oh, give us some credit, for crying out loud. Aren't they ridiculous? Aren't they, Rob? They're just...
I mean, in fairness, you know, you go back and Joe Grant, Sarah Jane, Harry, they were contemporary. They were of the era, if you like, pretty much. But they were so well scripted, so well acted, so well directed. you just bought in and loved the characters, didn't you?
Yeah.
And yet they just can't do it. They just cannot do it.
I mean, even going further back than that, Ian, Victoria and Jamie were great characters.
Yeah.
And they worked so well in the 60s and are very popular characters and showed it could work. You know, it's just a matter of imagination, isn't it, to be honest?
Yeah.
Completely.
A lot of comments about this coming from the Radio Times about this Children in Need clip, this scene that they're going to be showing from the Christmas Day show coming up this year, including Paul Stenterford, who is really going to get excited about the Christmas special, all the behind the scenes stuff after what they've done to this show. I think that I'll go outside and touch grass instead. They're obviously trying to...
Or snow if we're lucky, yeah. So.
Oh, I can't stand this stuff. But listen, you know, they're obviously going to... You're not going to let us... We are not going to let you forget this, rather. He told us to go and touch grass. That's going to be around forever now. And it will be associated with Gatwa just as much as what Whittaker's nonsense was as well. Yeah. You've had two spectacular miscasts here because all you're going for is the DEI tick boxing element. It hasn't worked for either of them. I'm sorry to say that in the case of Shooty, because I had high hopes for Shooty Gatwa.
Yeah.
But right now I'm thinking he was a flop. And when he starts to go into all these magazines he thinks none of us are going to pay any attention to because they're all up here and we're all down here, like Vogue, like Variety, all these other things he did, we saw all that. You can't get away from that these days. You know, we're quite intelligent, and you and him have spoken down and criticized us just like your entire industry are doing to the public. Those days are gone. Those days are ending now because we don't care, and you're the ones that are going to feel it because you're not getting our pennies. The Grotzits stay with us, and we'll pay for Blake 7 instead, quite frankly. And other things. So yeah, there you go. A lot of you mentioning this, but like Richard Brooks is saying, soy to the world. And Julianne wants us to know, haven't they filmed a secret skit with Mrs. Tennant for Children in Need? Oh my God, what's she going to do? Try and push them into doing something they shouldn't be doing? Having to think, I can't. Oh my God, can you imagine? Time Lord Victorious. So basically, Russell is shiny things on screen and no substance. Can't wait. Yeah. Daniel's still in there. Daniel Raven saying stuff to us. Thanks, Daniel. Where else? I don't know what really meant there, but that's fine there. Gosh, what else? I thought the whole season was outtakes. Says John. I love that. I love that, John. I love that. They will humanize the Sea Devils because RTD will want to sexualize them, says Paul Richards. That's a point I hadn't thought about, actually.
Oh, God. Yeah. There'll be more lesbian Sea Devils then as opposed to Silurians. Yeah.
You know, where we are now, Paul Richards may be right. I hadn't even... Do you know what, Paul? I hadn't even thought about that, but you could be right. It's a very good point. Isn't
we don't know who this is aimed at, do we? Whether it's going to be like a Torchwood kind of vibe to it, or it's going to be Sarah Jane Adventures or whatever. I don't know. It's going to be.
No idea. Well, it's not going to be a kids thing, is it? I think it's going to be. It's either going to go for the family or. I mean, even Doctor Who isn't family orientated now because of all the nonsense they pushed into it, and a lot of families in Britain are stopping their children watching it. The sensible ones, that is, are saying, "I'm going to watch this before the kids do." And then it's not as if the kids are interested, to be quite honest, because again, it's a minority, isn't it? And it's a minority of 20-year-old alleged activists, i.e., loonies. But you know, if it goes for that thing, if it goes for the 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock slot, it's a flop already. It's a flop because grown-ups don't want to see various people running around being preached at because of the mess in the sea with a load of Star Trek-looking aliens. Let's face it, it'll be a flop. I'm guaranteeing you now, it's going to be a flop. But they've got to do it to be paid for.
According to the BBC, though, that's exactly what the British viewing public want because they're that out of touch.
Absolutely.
Well, they don't do market research anymore, do they? That's the problem.
Well, if they do, they go to Islington. And that's it.
There's a demographic for you.
Yeah. Oh, there's a couple of thousand people in that area. We'll just go to North London, darling. I know, that's it.
It's not that far to go, is it, to be fair? Yeah.
No, it's not really. It's down the road. Killbot, kill. I was saddened to see Davros up and walking around. It ruined my Halloween costume being a wheelchair user. Well, we all were we, mate? Yes. We were terrible. Yeah. I mean, that's not Davros. It really isn't. And it's strange how they've said nothing since, isn't it, since the beginning of the year? Really,
and I
really
love the fact that character options brought out the Remembrance Davros Emperor even after all that, and it sold really well. Nah.
exactly. Richard Brooks is saying to Daryl, I love my calendar, Daryl. Thank you. It is cracking. It really, really is. And does that mean, says Paul Rose, does that mean Sea Devil human crossbreeding? Ew. This is the whole thing they don't think about
Icky.
here, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it is vile. And again, I've got this terrible feeling now that they're going to diminish and destroy another Malcolm Holt creation.
Yeah.
Deliberately.
Tadpoles flying everywhere.
Can't be done with it. Can't be done with it. Tony is pointing out the video we've just been talking about there from Daryl. I much prefer Daryl's video with a sympathetically redesigned Sea Devil. It's beautiful. That redesigned Sea Devil. You can tell it's a Sea Devil, and it's just modernized and just gorgeous.
But it's done in a very subtle way, which is really nice. You know.
Yes, exactly. Hello to Enspiel, who's joining us. I refuse to donate to Children in Need or Comic Relief because of their questionable salaries. I would rather donate directly to local children's charities. It was something I was going to say, so I'm glad you've said that, Enspiel. There are now, across the country, an awful lot of local children's charities, and they need the help. And I'm not sure if the BBC's Children in Need feeds into those or not. I don't know enough about it, but I know more and more people are becoming aware of the local one. And I think that's brilliant. You know, it's a sad that this has to happen in this day and age, but there we are. That's the world today. So it's absolutely fantastic. So great point there, Enspiel. Thank you very much for that. Rick Storm, you're very naughty.
Sorry, JT. Who was the one that ruined it for Comic Relief last year by referring to white people as white saviors and saw all
Lenny
their
Henry,
taking?
wasn't it?
I thought it was a woman. I thought a woman had said it.
Listen, there's so many. There's so many of them. It's ridiculous.
Could be anybody.
Yeah. Karina, listen, sweetie, nobody's listening. If you don't like what we're saying, bugger off. These chaps must be old enough to agree with their parents about the young ones. Listen, we were the young ones. In fact,
I love the young ones. How dare you?
I was younger than the young ones at the time. I'm still younger than what's left of the young ones. They were part of the role models that my generation actually had. And that's why we know a man is a man and a woman is a woman. But listen, you go ahead and rant all you like. If you don't like what we're saying, bugger off. If you do like what we're saying, please subscribe and come back and join us again. Nobody's listening. Nobody cares. If you don't want to say something productive, I don't care. I don't care. And you're not going to upset anybody because all views are welcome here, even stupidity. Absolutely. Don't try it. We're just not interested.
already done that one, JT.
Daryl, your work is genius, buddy. I really enjoy everything you produce. That's great, Graham. Thank you. And Daryl is still with us saying thanks to everybody. Absolutely. Great calendar. So what else we got here? Yes, so as part of that as well, this whole nonsense. Sorry, that whole thing for Children in Need that's coming on. What's this from Care Avon? Are they trying to turn Doctor Who into prisoner cell block H? Oh, you would have thought, yeah, gosh bless it. I know what you mean about that one, but it's not as funny as prisoner cell block H, is it? And Bill's with us saying, thank you guys for watching the Xmas special so I don't have to. You're very welcome.
If we like it, you'll have to watch it because you'll be curious. So
I know if we like it, it'll be
part of the service, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, if you like it and we come back and like it, you might like it. Who knows? But we will say. The Tardis scenes film next weekend, said Philip Roy. Good for you. Good for you.
I've not seen the interior pictures. Where could I find them to see?
You can't. It's just a bit of plywood with rondels in it. He's teasing it. He's building it.
I see. You're rotten swine. You. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's teasing it. Yeah, that's something we are interested in. So well done. What else? Oh yeah. So part of this whole thing for Children in Need, everybody, by the way, is this next bit that we're going to get to here now very, very quickly, because do you want to win a TARDIS? Because you can. Doctor Who fans have the chance to bid for Jodie Whittaker's actual TARDIS, i.e. the police box. Fancy owning a piece of Doctor Who history? Well, if you do, it's all there available to you on the BBC's Doctor Who social media platforms. Radio Times can tell you more about that. You have to bid for it, basically, as part of Children in Need. And apparently it's the one... Oh, I've lost it. It's the one from Flux.
Right.
I've lost the information. Apparently, it's one with little lights in it, apparently, or something, or cracks in it, or something.
With red lights and.
Oh yeah. There was a bit in Flux / Eva the Daleks had a TARDIS like that. Yeah.
Eva the Daleks, yes, that's the one it was.
Yeah.
I can't remember where it was, but that rings a bell.
I assumed it was just an effect and not another built prop.
Yeah.
But
it's nice to see they're selling off their assets, aren't they? Because they need the money.
Yeah.
They're having a garage sale at some point when everything closes down, won't they? So, or a car boot sale, even perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, well, Time Lord Victorious is saying, gosh, I wouldn't even bid a penny for it. Rick Storm is saying the Planet Earth TARDIS is cheaper. So no thank you, says Lex, for children in need. Margie is saying, no. And I have no idea what this is. Is this the one with the giant knobs of butter, says Sydney Rough Diamond? What? I don't know what that means, but
that sounds more like a reference to the interior of her TARDIS than the exterior.
The one with the double bed.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Right. Well, I didn't see it, so I don't know.
Last Tango in the TARDIS, I think it was called. That was, I presume, over that one. Yeah. So.
It's the box. It's the actual police box itself. And Millie Wiggs Dad, nice to see you. I'd win it. Plenty of firewood in that thing for the next Sky Folks night.
With Jodie sat on top.
And Paul Rose is saying to us, Whittaker's no thanks, but I already have a full-size TARDIS front doors from a stage play. I'm not sure where to put that yet. Oh, how interesting. Nice.
Yeah.
Very good. So keep your chats coming through, everybody. We're going to be moving on to another story now, because this week, of course, was Doctor Who magazine week. Did you see the cover? This is one of the worst aspects of Photoshop I've ever seen. That's
at least it's got classic Who on the front. That's the good thing about it.
Well, it's good about that, but that's Tom's body and face, but not from the same shot.
Is that Davros the wrong way round?
Yep.
Yeah.
Dear God.
At least he's not standing up, though. That's another positive.
Well, I mean, but I mean, come on. I mean,
everything on the right of the magazine has been turned, Ian. Yeah. Apart from actually, I know I'm doing it injustice. The Master and Hieronymus, possibly, and maybe. I'm talking nonsense. Sorry. But there you go. That's the cover, everybody. Now, what got me about this is that Doctor Who magazine this month was quite rightly celebrating Philip Hinchcliffe's 80th birthday, which was last month in October. So belated happy birthday to Philip with his 80th birthday. And they did this whole thing about looking into his era, which is unusual.
He's about 12, though, doesn't he? He's very young looking. Yeah,
he is very young looking.
Oh, you suck. But anyway, they did this. They celebrated his era and they looked into this. And I thought this was very unusual for Doctor Who magazine, who panders to the minority that we always talk about, right? And they're always talking about, it's not long before Jamie Windus gets into it, for example. And last month, of course, they were so desperate to fill content, they asked some alleged Doctor Who fan to chat to her pal to fill up a few spaces, absolutely, and which they would have got paid. Absolute nonsense. But they also asked alleged showrunners RTD, Moffat and Chris Chibnall what they thought of the Philip Hinchcliffe era. Oh, yes, they did. And I thought to myself, this would be interesting. Let's see what they thought. This was actually also picked up, I have to say, by, again, the good old Radio Times. Doctor Who showrunners celebrate Tom Baker's miraculous genius era, says the Radio Times on the Thursday, the 7th of November, the day the magazine comes out, by the way. Have a look at that. They obviously do what I do. They obviously are popping down to their local Tesco cafe, taking it off the shelf, taking it up to the cafe, having a coffee and writing things down and photographing it and then popping it back on the shelf. That's what it is, because there's no way I'm paying $7.99. I have to say,
it's not a lending library,
Yeah. Listen, I'm paying for stuff in there. They don't mind. But listen, I also have to say that the RTD's production notes this month were obviously a filler, because in his production notes, all he's done is gone on and on and on about that wedding from Phil Collinson.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing about the actual show at all. It's all about the people that went to this wedding and how lovely and marvelous everybody is. And I just thought, this is typical, isn't it? Absolute narcissist. But anyway, back to the story. I hope you're enjoying this, everybody. So we've gone well over time again, but here we go. Stephen Moffat and Russell T Davies have been looking back on the Baker years. It continues with, whenever the topic of the best actor to play the Doctor comes up, Tom Baker is never far from the top of the list. And in a new interview, Stephen Moffat and Russell T Davies have been celebrating his iconic era once again. The former showrunners made the comments in the latest issue of Doctor Who magazine, which includes a major feature about the legendary producer Philip Hinchcliffe, the man behind the early days of the Baker era on Doctor Who. I know this was a legacy of the previous producer, but I'm not sure Doctor Who has ever had a better cast than the first year with Tom Baker, Liz Sladen, and Ian Marter, says Stephen Moffat. I think one of Philip's rare mistakes was getting rid of Harry. That dynamic two companion to talk about the Doctor was so useful. He added that he loves the fact that Tom Baker's Doctor knows he's on TV, referencing how he even talks to the camera on a couple of occasions. Whenever the topic of the best actor to play the Doctor, sorry, that's the one we just had, isn't it? Sorry about that. Go to that one. We've never quite stopped that, he continued. There's an awareness about it all. That means it simply doesn't matter that the giant rat in talons of Wen Chiang is a bit silly, because have you noticed Lee Sen Chang? And it doesn't matter that Lee Sen Chang is a bit silly, because have you noticed how crap, that I should say, his plan is? It just doesn't matter because the show is thoroughly enjoying riffing on those horror tropes, and you're not meant to take things like giant rats and mummies and Frankenstein's monsters seriously, unless there's something generally wrong with you. Hello? Now, Russell says the same thing about this, more or less. What did happen in those years? A real terror rises off the screen. There's a kind of silence and sinisterness that stalks it somehow, says RTD, reflecting on Hinchcliffe's seminal 3-season run from 75's The Ark in Space to 77's The Talons of Wen Chiang. I don't know how they did it, RTD says of Hinchcliffe and script editor Robert Holmes. Maybe they don't either. Maybe those stories were just honest and good. They stuck to their ideas. They believed in them. If there are mummies killing people, they're crushing them. If there's a plant, it's strangling people. You could keep telling stories where the Doctor finds robots in factories and do that forever, but you can see Philip and Robert Holmes realizing how much stranger and more fantastic Doctor Who could be. He continues, there's a marvelous darkness to those stories, stark and sonorous. Is that right? I'm saying that right? Sonorous? Mm-hmm. And the strangeness of Dudley Simpson's music. I mean, who the hell scores television with oboes? But it fits. Everything fits. It fits the studio. If you doubled the budget and made it all on film, I don't think it would have worked as well. Actually, one of my least favorite episodes is when they go mad on location in part 3 of The Deadly Assassin. And he goes on and on and on. And what comes out about this is they know what Doctor Who is. So why haven't they recreated it in their own eras? There's this from RTD as well. The casting. Tom Baker is the most phenomenal piece of casting in any show ever. Although Philip didn't cast Tom, that was his immediate predecessor, the incoming producer ran with it. That's part of the joy, enthuses Russell. They know. You can see Philip Hinchcliffe and Robert Holmes leaning into their great success, realizing what a lead they have. In fact, Tom and Liz were terrific. They got the casting right twice. Throughout the history of Doctor Who, that's when the miracles happen.
Yeah, they need to listen to themselves. Casting is really important. But there's a few things in there that really annoy me is about the fact that all these monsters were silly. You're not meant to take them seriously. What the actors do in the stories, they play it straight and serious, and you believe in the aliens and the monsters in it because they create the right environment to watch it, unlike the current crop, which are just sending it up.
Did you mean crop or...
Probably crap is what I meant, but crop, yeah, rubbish, whatever, yeah.
I mean,
you get my meaning, yeah. You get my meaning.
I do indeed, my friend. I mean, they reference, don't they? They say maybe they don't know how they did it. Maybe it was just accident. No, it wasn't bloody accident. It was
talent.
Sobbing professionals, oozing talent, absolutely at the top of their game, knowing what their subject was. They weren't Doctor Who fans. They were just good at their job. They were good at writing, script editing, producing, directing. They were good at the whole damn thing. And they got actors that were also good at the whole damn thing, who gelled and understand the roles and everything else. And that's why it worked so well. And that's why this era doesn't, because this lot are just absolute F-wits. I won't say the word, JT, but you know what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I do. I mean, when I was reading this, I was sitting there thinking, you hypocrites. Again, it shows you, because you all three of you, Chris Chibnall is here as well in the magazine. all three of them understand what made Doctor Who work when they were watching it back in the day in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, especially the Hinchcliffe era. And not one of them, in my eyes, has continued it into their own eras, because they're all chasing this mythological modern day looking thing and this modern day mythical audience. Do you know what I mean here?
Chibnall, when he had Whittaker, he had her running down corridors.
Yeah.
Like an idiot. And that was exactly the thing that he slagged off JNT for.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, according
sorry, he's back. He was scratching my legs.
This is Chris Chibnall here. Chris was the perfect age to be scared witless by Hinchcliffe Who. God, yeah, he says. I was 4 or 5 when Philip's stuff started. The prime age for being indoctrinated into Doctor Who. I hate that word, indoctrinated. I hate that. I think it says a lot about them. Anyway, and I was probably the prime target that Mary Whitehouse worried would have their life destroyed by Hinchcliffe and Holmes. So we've got all that sort of stuff. In actual fact, she was so fundamentally, profoundly wrong, argues Chris, because Philip Hinchcliffe and Robert Holmes inspired me into a life of creativity and television writing and production and contribution to British industry. So she's absolutely, completely, utterly disproven.
He must have missed that creativity class he was at, did he?
Must have been. Yeah.
Was he copying a wag on that day? Was he, or something? I don't know. Yeah.
Well, he goes on to say the show back then was incredibly addictive. Great cliffhangers, ambitious stories, brilliant performances, high production values. It was scary, but scary in a way that was thrilling. I can't believe he's saying all this. It wasn't like anything else on television. There were things that were nearly like it, but nothing as muscular. And on Saturday at 5:45, between Basil Brush and the Generation Game, you lived for Saturday nights as a kid. I remember being at a friend's birthday party, and the party stopped to watch Terror of the Zygons.
Yeah.
So I look at this. There's a real philosophy behind that era. Chibnall continues. It's very clear what Philip wants to do, and he does it. He took it seriously. And that's not true of every era. I can name you 4. It's got that gothic moodiness, horror influences. I wonder how much of that was planned and how much emerged as they were doing it. You should find out, to Doctor Who magazine. And please send Philip my best. Make it very clear that he's not just held in high regard, but he's held in the highest.
Shame you can't watch the Zygons and see the Doom and iPlayer, though, isn't it?
Isn't it just?
Yeah.
Isn't it? I mean, they talk about all these wonderful elements that made it up, and they all made a point to ignore every single one of them. And not do it at all. But I get offended when those frauds even mention this era. It just offends me now, seeing what they've done. It's just wrong that they even speak about it.
I know where you're coming from, because this is incredible. Here they are saying that Hinchcliffe's era was right up there. They've even more or less, in a sense, roundabout sort of way, criticised their own eras.
Yeah.
What is wrong with them? All they had to do was continue to produce good-bodied Doctor Who. And Chibnall especially, because he brought all this rot into it. Yes, okay, we know it started in the Moffat era. Yeah. But it was really hit it with him. Oh, I've got to have a female doctor. Oh, I've got to do this. Oh, I've got to tick box. Allegedly. I haven't seen it, so you guys have told me all about it. So what a hypocrite he is. And then RTD's coming off the back of that with his second version. I just think it's ridiculous. A lot of you in the chat are getting exactly what I'm trying to say here as well. It was dark and gothic and winning formula. So why haven't they done this with their new show, says Stephen Braddock, especially. And hello, William Orlock is with us here. William Orlock, 86. Hinchcliffe and Holmes were driven by creativity, unlike RTD2 and Grand Moff Stephen, which are driven by egos. There is an awful lot in there. I totally agree with that, William. There's a hell of a lot. And believing their own mythos. Because when they read Doctor Who magazine over the last few years, everything's brilliant. He's a genius. How many times have you heard Stephen Moffat by show business people called a genius and RTD called a genius? And yet a lot of the ideas in their eras, and especially Moffat's era, has been done in science fiction for decades. Decades. I mean, he basically took the River Song theme or running story or whatever you want to call it from the Time Traveler's Wife.
Yeah.
And there's a book, can't even spell traveler correctly. Anyway, never trust a book that can't spell traveler correctly. That's what I say. But it was exactly the same thing. You know,
Yeah.
John is saying, I hope Tom gets paid for that. Bless him. God love the Tom. Rob Alexander also saying, I noticed that the latest issue was 84 pages. The last time I bought it, it was 100 pages.
And it's gone up in price as well, hasn't it? Yeah.
It's $7.99 per month.
All right.
$7.99 per month. What? In this day and age, $7.99 and $7.99 to be lectured about LGBTQI plus issues. Well, TQI nonsense usually, nothing to do with LGBT. Legion of James, higher. They praise the proper show, yet churn out the utter trash they have. Can they even hear themselves, or are they just saying what they think needs to be said for the article? I genuinely believe.
Well,
They're
I'm
actually passionate about this era. They are passionate about this, and they generally are putting it down on paper. How good was Philip Hinchcliffe's era? Because let's face it, they are Sado fans like the rest of us, right? But this admission, Paul, that they're actually looking at this and saying that era was. If you loved it that much, why didn't you do a version of it? You utter idiots.
Because it would have worked. It would have been successful.
Yeah.
If they'd done Doctor Who now on an updated version of that template, then it would have worked perfectly. It would have been very popular. I'm absolutely convinced of that.
But I'm surprised they're not slagging it off, because that's what I was expecting, to be honest. More slagging it off, because that's what
there is none of that.
You know?
There's absolutely none of that. And Moffat does refer to Talons of Win Chiang, but it's fine.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be some kind of John Bennett reference about not being Chinese, etc., etc. You know,
nothing. There's nothing about that at all.
Or saying it's very sexist in places and blah blah. I'm expecting all that kind of nonsense.
It's all about all actually really good stuff from them. Utter nonsense from RTT and SM. Richard Brooks is saying, and Craig Dunlop. Hello, Craig. How are you? Crop crap is the proper pronoun. I might nick that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I might nick that. What else we got here? About Graham, some of my most vivid memories of my young ages were created by Hinchcliffe and Holmes. Yes, exactly. Yeah. A lot of us now grew up with that, didn't we? We grew up with that era.
That explains a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. Peter Bank with Fansite. Giant rats were a legitimate threat. How was that not serious business in Victorian England?
And it was all over the TV. The Avengers had one as well, remember? So
they did, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. What we've got here from Mark Greaves is Tom Baker would tear those fools a new one if he was given those scripts, wouldn't he? Just
I wish he had. Yeah.
Oh God, can you imagine? And Martin, hello Martin, lovely dog. Yes, that's for you, Ian.
Look at you.
Oh, looks so tired as well. Look, so tired.
He does so much during the day. It's terrible. He has to lie around here, lie around there, move over, roll on his back. Get a treat. It's a hard life.
That's very tiring, Ian. It really is.
It is. His sister's a trooper as well, but you know. Albert wears it well.
Albert is a huge hit here with Nibbles saying hello, and Sheila B in the devotion saying fluffy poop.
You're popular, mate.
Yeah. Lex Kane is saying, is it me? Is the Tom Baker smile photoshopped? It is photoshopped. As I said there, it's his body, but it's his face, but not from the same shot.
Yeah.
In the original shot, the body, Tom's face is looking forward. So they've actually just superimposed another shot of Tom to suit the artist.
Is that original, though? Certainly the body, is that from Hand of Fear, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
Shame we couldn't flip Davros. How did that get past the quality control, really?
I tell you what's interesting as well about this is they actually going in Doctor Who magazine, not only have they interviewed these three, but they've actually of course gone and speak to Philip, because thankfully he's still with us. God love him, he's still with us. Happy and belated, as we say, happy birthday to him there. And they go and speak to him. I find it very interesting how Doctor Who magazine on this occasion actually makes their headlines out of what he says. Look at this. Pyramid still works today if you've got the intellectual stamina. How right he is.
Yeah.
And then he says this: viewers could get immersed in our worlds. There isn't time for that now.
Yep. All true.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And he has asked, have you watched Doctor Who recently? And he says, yes, because you were coming to interview me.
Otherwise, no.
Absolutely. It's just brilliant how he says that. And he doesn't say things. He doesn't remember the stories or whatever, but then who does? And he's borderline polite.
So it was Tom who'd say it's a little bollocks, wouldn't he? But
Yeah,
it's not.
it's borderline polite.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's all borderline polite about this. He does mention Ncuti Gatwa, which I had. Doctor Who magazine, how are you finding Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor? This is from Philip Hinchcliffe now, everybody. He's a personality, isn't he? He's more human. He's touchy-feely, emotionally, I mean. That's the way they've written him. It could be generational. This is what younger viewers relate to. He's not that slightly austere character from another world who has a fondness for the human race anymore. And that's okay. Every era throws up its superheroes. They evolve. There's no right and wrong in this. As long as you entertain the viewer and excite their imagination, it works, I suppose. Russell does that. Stephen too. I'm a great admirer of Stephen Moffat. He's an incredibly talented writer. Some of his early episodes, like the one with Eccleston in the Second World War, I thought, who is this writer? God, he's terrific. That's the one we all thought he was terrific, remember?
Yeah.
And he did this one where the Doctor ends up with his foot on a mine. It's a brilliant idea. And then Doctor Who magazine says, Philip, that's your idea. Well, Terry Nations, Stephen's episode was inspired by the opening to Genesis of the Daleks, where the Doctor steps on a landmine. I did wonder about that, says Hinchcliffe, with the war zone setting. Yeah. So he's quite polite.
Yeah.
That's
he only remembers the Stephen Moffat Empty Child episode because that's when it was good, you know?
Yeah. Nothing is muscular, says Graham. What does that mean? So, says Philip, why isn't RTD casting a not young, cute, great actor as the Doctor and taking everything that works from the Hinchcliffe era? Certainly to reboot and gain back the viewers after the Jodie era. It's the question we all want the answer to, and one day we might get it.
Yeah.
You know, we might get it. It's going to be a long time. Yeah. And certainly it's going to be.
Yeah.
It'll all come out in the wash. I say this, once the show ends, it's going to be within 20 years after the show's finished, everything will come out in the wash because they will need the money and they will write books. And we will go to the library if there are any left then and look at them because I'm certainly not buying any of them, I'll tell you. Yeah, Eastland. Hello, Eastland. Tom Baker explained it well. Melodrama. Basically, characters are humans and the Doctor is off-putting, not human, and the dangers are not real rubber masks. Yeah. And Marjorie is saying hypocrisy much. They've not just, says Tony Farrell, ignored the era. They've tried to butcher it along with Hartnell and the first Daleks. Yeah, that's what I mean about hypocrisy. Like Marjorie was saying. I mean, they don't care.
No, they don't.
They don't care, you know. John's worried because John Mason is saying when they talk about classic Who, it taints it. I just find it all contradictory, completely and utterly, all the time. They go from one to the other all the time, don't they, everybody? And it's just nonsense. They understand what worked in proper Who, says Julianne, but then they produce the antithesis.
Yeah,
and,
just to annoy us. Yeah.
Yes, that's all it's about. It's getting to that, isn't it? I'm actually seriously now absolutely convinced they do it just to wind us up. Kids like the scares, not the agendas. Nobody wins with this stuff, says Paul Rose.
Well, they don't do it for the ratings, do they?
That's what they say. The ratings prove that, Ian, don't they?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all very, very, very bizarre. Thank you very much, Steve Henley, for your quote here, or your message here. The Fitzroy blurt sent Doctor Who up a creative cul-de-sac, and yet they all think they're brilliant and wonderful and marvelous, don't they? And that they've all done the right thing. For working overtime, great show, guys, says Dalek Eye with a super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you for that, Dalek Eye. Yeah, but we're having fun because we're talking to all you lot. So yeah, but that was Doctor Who magazine. That's the only thing in it that I found not interesting enough to buy, but interesting enough to report back on the show because the usual nonsense was all around the other stuff. And it's such a shame, isn't it? It's such a shame.
It really is.
Yeah. All they've done is produced a soap opera, not an interesting alien in his box. Here, Forbidden Man.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you. That's all it is. And I've been saying this for years now. Doctor Who is not a soap. And yet now, unfortunately, we have an entire generation that thinks it is.
Thinks it is. Yeah.
I mean, he's talking about, Moffat talks about Lee Sen Chang's plan being a little bit crap. But, it wasn't his plan anyway, was it? It was Magnus Greel's, and he was just a tool for Greel. But Was it really? To be honest, when you think about it, it kind of made sense. Looking for the time cabinet, get the time cabinet back, and get away, but get the time crystal as well that opened it. But he's saying that on the back of space babies.
Yeah. The thing about Moffat's take on classic Who is the fact that he always says that he thinks when we're 7 or 8, we're self-aware of what's going on. And he said something in one of the documentaries about after the giant rat was in Towns Wen Chiang, we all had an embarrassing Monday at school. You know, there was a giant rat gate at school, and we weren't aware of it. We loved it. We were taken in by it. I loved it. I was petrified by it when I was watching it. When I saw it in the documentary, it was even scarier when you saw it behind the scenes. You know, it's like
We're talking from the perspective of watching it again on a HD TV. A program that was never made for HD TV.
No,
exactly. You can't do it that way. You have to view it in the context it was made.
Exactly.
And look at it in the view that it was made. You know, like Moonbase is a fantastic story, and I'm sure on small 405 line black and white tellies in the mid 60s, it looked absolutely awesome. But you look at it on a HD TV and you can see there's a painted backdrop.
Yeah.
But you just suspend your disbelief and enjoy the bloody story.
Because you have to understand when these things were made. And yet they listen to all these ridiculous woke reports that come through from these alleged people that are paid to do this nonsense, where they put it through, where they say, oh, young people want this and young people can't do this and young people have the attention span of a newt, which might be true in a sense. It doesn't mean that you can't change that. You can't give them good stuff and educate them properly. That is your responsibility as an adult. That is your responsibility as the BBC.
It's about engagement. That's the whole point. If they're missing the engagement, they're not being drawn into it.
Yeah. And stop listening to people like Crystal Meth who's saying, oh, I had to watch this on fast forward or whatever it was. That's nonsense. That's just laziness on that particular person's part, not to mention stupidity. That person is not representative of an entire age group, you know, because go and look at how popular proper Doctor Who is. You know. It's incredible, because I've always said, haven't I, guys? Once you get into a story, if it's told properly, a story is a story. You know,
you have to get in the right frame of mind to watch something like that, don't you? You have to get in the right frame of mind to watch an old film. You know, people dismiss black and white movies. There's a plethora of classic films in black and white. If you don't see them, you're missing such a treat. You know.
But look at young people like Kirsty and Emilio and Jack on our show. They will go quite happily and watch the black and white stuff and come back and say what they liked and what they didn't like about it. And when it comes to black and white Doctor Who, they're watching it. You know, and it doesn't bother them, does it? Cute Pyro, thank you so much for your. I hope you are well, by the way. I haven't seen you for a while, but I hope you are well. Thank you very much for your super chat. In other words, no, it's shit. We are after the watershed. Depends when you're watching it, doesn't it? Time Lord Victorious, Doctor Who now is like cheap, quick, fast food. You're always hungry after, and you end up sometimes with a dodgy stomach.
One buff and you're empty. That's
very, very clever. Thank you for that. And Philip Roy is saying to us, I saw Philip Hedgecliff at a convention in August. Did you? Oh, how lovely. And he said he didn't rate any Doctor they cast after Tom. I love his honesty to say what he feels. Good for him, though. How fantastic. I love that. That's brilliant. Good for Philip. I was in a lift once with Philip, but we won't go in there in this particular show, but he was lovely. He was absolutely lovely and very, very nice and very polite and very mature, you know, very old, you know, not old school exactly, but, you know, as people would.
A gentleman.
Yes, thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. He was wonderful. Another super chat here from Cute Pyro. Thank you very much. I got my friend stuck singing the theme tune for Wurzel Gummidge. I felt bad at first and then I joined in. Well, that's great to know.
We can't sing, we're not allowed to. So.
No, don't, can't sing that, unfortunately. Space Babies against Talons. Get out of here, RTD. Yeah, exactly. He actually goes on
Space Babies every time.
He goes on to justify Space Babies in one of Doctor Who magazines, doesn't he? Bill, it was one of the best giant rats in entertainment. It really, really was, wasn't it? It was fantastic.
Better than the rats that are running the show now.
Oh, clever Ian. And Paul Thomas Ashworth, it is lovely to see you. Thank you for your super chat. I blame Disney for this. I think they've pulled far more strings than we imagined. They ruin everything they touch. Now, I'm not going to argue with that, but I also blame RTD and the BBC, because RTD, as we know, comes from a place of being obsessed with TQI cult nonsense. And the BBC is obsessed with the DEI. How much did we say a few weeks ago, guys, they were spending on DEI? £85 million of the British licence fee payers' money? Absolute nonsense.
That's why I got the job, because they all align with each other's opinions. That's the thing. Disney, BBC, and Russell, so that's why it works.
Yeah, yeah. But thank you, Paul Thomas Ashworth. That's another poll. Are we up to 6 on the pollometer? Yeah, I've got 6. I think we've got 6 on the pollometer.
Is that including me?
That's including you. Yeah, it's always including you. There we go.
Not Paul Prime.
Paul Prime. Thank you,
of course,
Paul.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
I love that picture that Paul's got there for his avatar as well.
It's really good, isn't it?
It's very good.
Lovely, yeah.
Really good with his bins on. Love it. Mark, our resident Who's Views poet laureate, is saying to us they can't write 8 episodes, let alone 20 on the classic era. I would hate to see any more than the 9 they're doing a year right now with this current mentality. And
well, is it 13 now by Christmas, when we get Christmas, including the Tenant rubbish? There's about 13 episodes we'll have had by that point, I think.
Yes, 13 with Joy to the World. 13 with Joy to the World, yeah. And then further 8. Yeah. Glenn is with us. Hello, Glenn. He's asking everybody, do you think David Tennant will return in the new era? Well, he did, and that's his lot. He's gone, he's done, he's dusted. And they also know he's not popular, so I can't see him ever coming back at this time, to be quite honest. He's not popular in the UK, especially with women. He's burnt his bridges there now. Never mess with women, proper women, that is. Never mess with them. No. Oh, goodness me, there's lots of you here as well. That hack laughs at a giant rat but gives us a snot monster, says Julianne.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Well done, Julianne. Always on point there. And poor Roughton is saying they got together through aligning agendas and forgot the important things.
Yeah.
Didn't they just... And I just found that was very interesting in this new edition of Doctor Who magazine, which came out on Thursday, that there they were giving Philip, quite rightly, the glowing reviews, how fabulous his era was, because it was. It really, really was. And not one of them tried to emulate it in any way, shape or form, because they knew that's what Doctor Who was.
I mean, if they'd aimed for it and fallen short, it would still be magnitudes better than what we got.
Yeah, which was sex, drugs and rock and roll, basically. Let's face it.
Yeah.
You know, label. Oh, this. Oh, equality, this. Oh, diversity, this. Oh, inclusion. Oh, what rot. We wanted science fiction.
Yeah.
Steve Hinley has just said to us, very, very, very on the ball here. Activist writing is always a ratings winner.
It is indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. And Kirsty, our own Kirsty, is saying, no, we'll not touch Tennant even if he was the last man on Earth. Ooh. Indeed. Anyway, well, lots more to go through here, but it's going to have to be saved for another day, actually, except for this one as well, because, like it or not, there was a big vote this week, and it's had a massive effect on everything, hasn't it? Yes, it's the Who's Views Viewers' Choice. The winner was, Paul, look away, the Dalek Invasion. You didn't go the way we wanted.
I'm throwing my toys at the pram now. There we go.
Do it with your toy. Oh no, that's a real one, Ian. Don't.
That was a cuddly one. The dog something. I've got 2 dogs as well, but they're downstairs. But yeah.
Yeah. Listen, thank you to everybody that took part in our community tab there and voted for November's reviews here on Who's Views. The viewer's choice, the winner is clear from season 2 with the mighty Hartnell First, everybody. The Dalek Invasion of Earth. Can't thank you enough for voting. That was by far the clear winner. So stay tuned with us. It is up on the channel now for you to set the bell, and a reminder, we are going to be celebrating the release of season 2 on Blu-ray Standard Edition this month, as well as the program's 61st anniversary. It's all there for you now on the homepage here on the Tube of Who. So thank you so much for it. I'm looking forward to watching it again. I have to say, I really am. And we will discuss that later on this month. But Paul, tough titty. It's vote. You're going to have to get on with it.
You're all of my Christmas card list now. I'm telling you that now. Okay, so.
But yeah, come and join us all for that. As I say, it's up on the channel now, everybody. But yeah, Dalek Invasion of Earth on the way, as well as our celebration of 61 years of Doctor Who coming up for you as well. This Wednesday, something a little bit different as we return to our Carry On reviews, as we're going to be looking at Carry On Regardless this Wednesday live at 8 o'clock here on the channel. Come and join us for that one, especially if you're a Carry On fan. Carry On Regardless. I watched it this weekend. What a classic. Can't wait to talk about it. To Paul and the Third Doctor Ian, as ever, thank you so much for joining me on this show. Another big show here for Headlines. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Great fun.
And thank you all for watching us. If you are new to the channel, I hope you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe. That would be fantastic. Everybody's welcome, although if you try it on with us, we will have you. And so give us a thumbs up as well. Like the video, give us a subscription. If you have already subscribed, please make sure you are still subscribed to the channel, because that is still happening. Thank you for all your emails, everybody, telling me that that's happening to you. I have no idea what that's about, and it's certainly nothing to do with us. So we will see you again in the week. Don't forget, you can also find us on our Instagram. You can find us on our Facebook page. Anything else I should tell you? No, let's go home. Let's have a cup of tea. Good night, everybody. We'll see you again very soon. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.